Hello everyone, this is Bad Our Boy, and we are back playing Suzerain, the Nasserist Run. Now, these streams are not as long as those of last week, that much I know. However, you gotta also take into consideration yours truly got shit to do other than playing games. Sadly so. My employment and its consequences have been a disaster to my gaming time. Be that as it may, I love being employed. Rather, I love being in training, and I love doing things that benefit others. I love being needed for stuff. I love being helpful. It's gives life purpose. Gives life purpose. And I've been excited about a weekend since I was in fucking high school. So there's also that. There is also that. Now, that being said, let's jump right back into the game, leave for like 3 hours so I could go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, do more of that work shit, go back to and then stream and then in the evening. Yippee! Alright. So we shall continue our one. Last time we nationalized the fuck out of everything and sent our kid off to the military because he's a piece of shit who doesn't hold his responsibility, who doesn't uphold his responsibilities. Okay, then our economy is growing, but this will stop eventually and we will enter a debt crisis. As I said last time, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I think we're headed towards a failure, but it's alright. Because this game is bullshit and these policies would work in real life. Hopefully. Isolated polio cases being seen in Bergia. Polio cases explode in Bergia. Rain will visit both Falkland and Lesbia for trade deal. President Rain has scheduled visits to both Lesbia and Volksland to discuss possible trade deals with the leaders of both countries. It is unclear what the goal of these trade talks will be, although some insiders speculate that Rain is hoping to gather allies in anticipation for an eventual confrontation with Rumberg. What is clear is that it will be hard to negotiate with both Volksland and Lesbia simultaneously without choosing sides between either Arcasia or United Contana. Oh, agricultural zone. Yeah, so Sarna. Sarna increased agricultural production. Sarna has experienced a 15% increase in agricultural output over the last 2 years. Employment in the agricultural sector has been rising commensurately. The boom is thought to be a direct result of the investments made in the Bergia region. Wellen Trade Report. The trade deal struck with Wellen continues to bear fruit as Bergia sees an upward trend in agriculture export. Manufacturing industries are also celebrating the decreased production costs that have resulted from the uptick in importation of Wesek oil, the aftermath of the Operation Bertra. Homelessness among Bangladesh decreases. There is reporting a 20% decrease in homelessness among its Bangladesh population over the past 2 years, a development welcomed by Bangladesh rights activists. This decrease corresponds with the rise in wages and employment in the city, following the government's decision to invest in the Berger region. See, I'm a good guy. Recession hits workers fuck. As in the rest of Sorland, workers in Gelsord are bearing the brunt of the recession. The manufacturing sector has been hit particularly hard, as a record number of the factory workers filed for unemployment over the past month. Well, at least you still get free healthcare. However, development speeds up following the highway construction. The completion of the H3 highway between Lakavan and Arbury has resulted in decreased logistical costs and higher traffic flow to the latter city. The pace of development in Arbury has consequently quickened significantly with dozens of construction projects now on the horizon. Healthcare quality improved. Reports from hospitals and clinics in Laren indicate a significant rise in the quality of healthcare since additional funding was channeled into rural areas. Mortality rates appear to be decreasing, but patients are reporting a higher level of trust in physicians and medical facilities. Yay! The welfare of my people is important to me. Currency loses value against the Arcasian lira. Financial reports show that the Swedish rand has steadily been slipping against the Arcasian lira, though the exchange rate has not yet approached the all-time low reached during the Alfonso administration. Dinner with Justice Isabel. Alright, now it's time to get our reforms done. Nia Morgna has arranged a dinner meeting with Justice Isabel Edmonds. Ahead of the dinner, Nia and I met to have a talk. We sat on a table on the second floor of the Papillon, a world class lesbian restaurant in downtown Holsworth. The whole floor was reserved for us, and the music coming from downstairs was enough to guard our voices from potential eavesdroppers. I still can't believe Saul came to the vote. I'm sure he has also pressured the justices of the court right after that win. I can't speak any sense into them. What about Justice Edmonds? Do you think we can sway her? Yes, I think she's our best bet. We have a meeting with her now, after all. She's not openly protesting against the old guards, but she has told me about her concerns about them. She's certainly open to dialogue about, but also skeptical. She seemed to be scared of a potential purge against the court. We can find a common ground against the old guard. That's what I hope for too. What is the atmosphere in the court? Most justices don't really talk when I'm around. They don't trust me as an outside member of the court. I only know about the two justices I've mentioned earlier who are with me, so we have three votes there. Also, thanks for the recent efforts of our anti corruption force, we managed to pressure civil justice into cooperation. So we have potentially 4 or 5 votes in total, so today's meeting can bring us the last vote we need to reach 6. The old guards are fanatically opposing your proposal, so I doubt there is any possibility there. What about Heron? I thought we could get to him. Heron might be a possibility, yes, but I advise against dealing with any of them. If we can persuade Isabel, we can get the votes we need. Lucian and Peter believe that he can be persuaded, though, so I'll leave that up to you. Yeah, I think we need all the help we can get. What has also been doing? He's doing his best to organize the court against your proposal. But there's a huge pressure on them. The anti-corruption force has found incriminating evidence against some of the justices. Although they have immunity, they are scared that these would go public. We have already gained a few more votes in the court, but I'm not sure more old guards would jump on the same wagon. Thank you for your efforts with the anti-corruption police. Thank you for signing the order, Mr. President. The efforts are bearing fruit. Let's talk about our next steps. Well, the next step is speaking to Isabel and making sure she votes for the proposal, but also the way they approached us and bowed in respect. Decide on the entree, sir. We have a guest coming. We'll wait for her to order. Of course, sir. I'll be around. He went downstairs again. Nia took a sip from her glass of water and looked at me. So, let's just move on to our plan with Isabel. I won't pry into her personal life. Let's try not to agitate her when she comes. We won the vote, so she already has pressure on her. Not to mention the pressure from the anti-corruption police. But if she feels cornered, we might lose her. So it's important not to put too much pressure on her. Agreed, we shouldn't scare her off. That's for the best. Suddenly, I noticed Justice Isabel Edmonds coming upstairs. She was wearing a plain dark gray dress that hid most of her features. Oh, good to see you, Mrs. Edmonds. Nia got up from her chair to shake Isabel's hand. I stand up for a handshake. I stood up and shook her hand. Mr. President, good to see you. Good to see you, Justice Edmonds. She took a seat across the table. How was your day, Mrs. Edmonds? I would normally say good, but this time I will take the liberty to say that it was insanely exhausting. Heavy court matters again. Not that I'm complaining. Suddenly the waiter approached us. Are you ready to give the orders, sir? Madam? I'll have the sauté perlas, please. As you wish. Mrs. Edmonds? I'll have a salad, thank you. Of course, and you, sir? I'll have the salad too. We need to placate her. I think that's the term. He quickly took a couple of notes in his tiny notebook. I'll be back shortly. He went back downstairs, leaving us alone on the upper floor again. How's the situation in the Supreme Court? Let's just say busy. She moved herself on the chair to be more comfortable. You know, Mr. President, since you tried to intervene with the court's decisions on Mr. Ezra's case, you created some hostility against yourself among my wing. But, first of all, congratulations with the vote in the Grand National Assembly. I admire your struggle, especially because you were strong enough to include concessions from your side. But now you face the Supreme Court, and it pains me to say that your proposal has a very low chance of getting through it. Do you like the proposal? I say, but do you like the proposal? No, I don't like the proposal. So the current situation is clear. Fuck. You need our wing to vote for you, otherwise, all of your hard work will be in vain. I'm not going to deny that that is the situation. As a start, at that moment, the waiter came back from downstairs carrying plates of food. After seeing that we were in the midst of a discussion, he raised his eyes as he approached us. He quickly started serving the food and refilled our glasses. He placed the plate of salad luco in front of me. Looked very fresh and smelled of olive oil. I was very hungry. Bon appetit! Thank you, it looks delicious. The waiter bowed to us and quickly went downstairs. We wished each other a good meal as Isabel and I slowly started to eat. So, Mrs. Edmonds, are you still thinking the same about the old guard? Of course, nothing has changed. That's good. We still have that in common. That doesn't mean I will accept any proposal the old guards oppose. Yet, we must do something. You also know that we need this change in our institutions. Isabel took a sip from her water and turned to me. Tell me, Mr. President, what are your real intentions? We need a better democracy. That's all I'm striving for. For some reason, I doubt that. But let's say this proposal goes through. What will be your next move? To ensure the new processes are respected and executed in transparency. I see. Isabel took another sip from her water and looked at me without saying anything. Mrs. Edmonds, please help us achieve this victory. We have to be together in this. Perhaps that is the way we must take. Can you explain me one thing? How come you think that the Supreme Court's right to vote on constitutional amendments is a major problem of such priority? I thought we were. I'm asking the President, Miss Morgan. The judiciary should not have legislative powers, Mrs. Edmonds. So that is your position. I see. I don't know what to say, Mr. President. These changes are one thing, but there's also your political view. I don't want to hand a victory to a millennialist. I am a democratic socialist, Mrs. Edmonds. There is a difference. I am Zohran Mamdani. So what? You're going to tell me you pursue Wagslanian socialism or something? Who cares if you're into Chancellor Hegel's socialism or socialism of Bernard Circas? It's all Carlos Marcia's socioeconomics in the end. You are playing with fire, Mr. President. He suddenly cut in. If we were to come back to the point of unifying against the old guard, I want the old guard gone as much as you, but I am torn about this proposal. Don't be. We are together in this. This will open the way for further reforms too. Mr. President, I am also wondering, if you were in Seoul's position, how would you have structured the Supreme Court? What do you even believe it is its role? Julian must have the power to review, strike down laws that are against the Constitution. So, what do you think about the judicial review? It plays an essential role in ensuring that each branch of the government recognizes the limits of its powers. Precisely. I'm glad that we agree on that. Isabel went to finish the remaining of her salad. So, Mrs. Edmonds, what are you thinking? I want to help you, Mr. Mogna, but I still have great concerns. This proposal would have paved the way for the WPP and the CPS to enter the assembly. I don't want to be a supporter of that. We can't silence different political opinions anymore, Mr. I don't agree with their ideologies, but we must be fair. Anyway, since the proposal introduces term limits, I can say that I support that point. You have decided then. Let's see. Ms. Edmonds, I really hope you vote for the proposal. Okay, let me finish, Mr. President. I think I can get behind this proposal. Thank you, Mrs. Edmonds. I can get you the 3 votes you need. We were already somewhat inclined to vote for the proposal. I will talk with my group. Thank you. That's great to hear that you will support us. Thank you. I see that we're all finished with our meals too. I think it's time to conclude this meeting. Thank you for inviting me here, Mr. President. Thank you for coming. She stood up and shook my hand. Thank you for the meeting, Mrs. Edmonds. Likewise. Isabel took her coat and walked downstairs. Nia and I looked at each other. That's good news. Yes, I hope we can trust her. You should maybe talk to Lucian about other options. We may try reaching out to Heron if you want. After a few minutes of thoughtful silence, we also got up from our seats and left the restaurant. It was a good start, but I was still uncertain if Isabel would be enough. I got into the presidential Cadilla, and Serge started driving me home. On the way, I received a call from the brand new radio phone that was mounted in our vehicle. It was Lucian. His voice was very difficult to understand with the static. Mr. President, I hope your meeting went well. I have urgent news to share. Heron has agreed to meet you before the court vote. He wants to arrange a meeting outside of the capital, somewhere more hidden and out of the public eye. Arrange a meeting with him immediately. That's good news. I'll leave the arrangement up to you. Understood, sir. Good evening. Leaving the call. The line dropped dead. Right? Private meeting with Justice Heron. It was yet another sunny day, and I was facing another important political figure, Heron Garachi. He had reached out to us and wished for a meeting just ahead of the court vote. We scheduled to meet outside of Falsword in the Gentlemen's Club of Peter in Erlori, where we would have some privacy. I grabbed a drink and sat down on the balcony of the villa overlooking its vast garden. Heron was next to me in his beige checked suit and took off his white trilby. Trilby. What's a trilby? Very nice location you've set up here, Mr. President. What's a trilby? Let's Google that. Trilby. It's a hat. Ah, it's something like a fedora, but it's not a fedora. Interesting. Very nice location you set up here, Mr. President. The Gentleman's Club, huh? Oh, this place is not mine. It's Peter's. Didn't know the Vice President had such a good taste, he said himself. So, Mr. President, I wanted to talk to you for a couple of reasons. First of all, I have to say that I'm behind your proposal. It is the position of the majority of the soulless justices. We didn't want to create unnecessary risks by talking to you directly until now. I admit it's a nice surprise to hear this from you. The problem is the Chief Justice. He's fanatically working to undermine you. I'm afraid that it has gone too far. There are plans of coughed and took a sip of his drink from his drink. Well, he is organizing the Solists against you. He has influence over a lot of people, as you know. He's now losing the Supreme Court's support. He said himself. I want to help you, Mr. President. I can organize the justices to vote for your proposal. I can help you beyond this vote. Wouldn't you want to have a Chief of Justice who would be sympathetic to your concerns? Doesn't it sound nice? I'm listening. I already have a reasonable support behind me. If you can help me with some investments, I can be a valuable ally to have in the Supreme Court. And I will support you not only with the vote, but afterwards. I'm sorry, Mr. Garachi, I don't have anything to spare. It's time I get going then. He put his bat back on and stood up. Ah, fuck. Dude, I'm fucking broke. Okay. Let's actually try and reload this. But like, damn, I don't have any money on me. That's so weird. That's so weird. I thought I could just promise him. I thought I could just promise him that I was lied to. Okay, so let's get the show back on the road. No. Back. Let's continue. Okay, let's try and pull this off somehow. I mean, if I get the centrists, that'll be good, but you know. You're right, it does sound rather nice. Well, I agree. I already have reasonable support behind me. I can't promise that. I thought you were the one who asked for my help, Mr. President. Gave you my offer. If you don't like it, there will be no support from my end. Easy as that. Can figure something else out. No. I'm sorry, Mr. Garachi. I don't have anything to spare. It's time I get going then. He put his head back on and stood up. It was nice to have you here, Mr. Garachi. I hope you consider your support. Thank you for inviting me here. It's a shame that we're leaving empty handed, but it was a nice meeting. He left me alone with my thoughts. Fuck! Okay, hold on. Hold on. Suzerain, do I need the support of Heron to pass the constitutional reforms? It's Google this. How do I convince Heron? Let's see. Your proposals have to be very light touch. If you do this, you get special stimuli directly comes to you. They tell you that the old guys actually don't have a problem with your reforms, but also is blocking everything out of spite. He promised to support your reforms if you agree to dismiss Orso and make him Supreme Justice. But honestly, if you do all that, then you probably don't need Heron. If you have the anti-corruption force, you convince the centrist justice in lunch, then you don't need this force at all. Proposals have to be very. If you do this, especially. If you have the anti-corruption police, then you don't need his vote at all. Even if Hogan will vote yes, and yeah, you need to raise the budget of the interior. So I'm not going to advise you to a remote cabin in the wilderness. Say no. Oh my God! Hold on. The anti-corruption bacon. Alright, you know what? I think I think we don't need him. I think we don't need him. Announcement of the Supreme Court's decision. Okay, fuck it. Let's do this. Let's do this. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's see this to the end. Okay. Back at the office, I was eagerly waiting for the decision of the Supreme Court regarding our change of the Constitution. I stood up from my chair and looked out the window. Peter and Pascal were with me too. Peter was slouching on the couch on the right side of the office and staring at the ceiling. Pascal sat across from me. I was also eagerly waiting for the results. The whole process had been tough on all of us, but now there was nothing left to do but wait for the justices to cast their vote. What do you think, Anton? Are we going to make history today? Yes, I'm sure of it. So you trust Isabel to bring the votes? Yes, I'm sure she will support the proposal. I hope so. I trust Isabel. According to Nia, she's a woman of her word. But anyway, we'll learn about the votes soon. The session is already underway. By the way, what time is it? I look at the tall case clock in the room. It was already 20 past 11. The court's voting session was scheduled to end in 10 minutes. We have about 10 minutes. Okay, we'll soon hear about the results then. But anyway, he rose from his slouch and stretched. I don't know if you noticed, but Kesaro has been getting popular in the assembly recently. Our party's been supporting him on a lot of bills, some of which have already reached you. What do you make of this? I think he's a very dangerous man, Anton. Can't let him divide our party. I agree, we have to watch him closely. His party only holds 40 seats, Anton, yet he manages to pass bills. That man is trouble. Maybe we shouldn't allow our party to be so generous with what they support. Suddenly, Livia entered the room. In her hands was a large object wrapped in straw paper. Good day to you, Mr. President and Mr. Bennywall. Am I interrupting you? It's okay, Livia. What happened? The Chief Justice has sent you this. She showed me the wrapped object. Thank you, Livia. You can leave it on my table. Yes, sir. She walked up to the table and gave it to me. I immediately started to remove the wrapping to reveal a framed photograph. It was an old black and white photograph of Dr. Saul posing on a destroyed tank in Holsworth Square. The building behind him had thousands of bullet holes on it, and the clearly readable slogan "Victory is close" written on its walls. The date was 14 March 1929. The date 14 March 1929 was written in the corner with a black marker. I turned to Livia. What do you think this means, Livia? He's obviously trying to send you a message, but... Hi, Livia. Noticing Peter on the couch, Livia reddened slightly. She gave a small wave with Peter turned. Mr. Vice President, I'll be leaving now. As soon as she left the room, Peter came up next to me and took a look at the photograph. Nice present. This must be some kind of message. What is it? Victory will be close, huh? Ross is getting ahead of himself. Then Illusion rushed into the room. Mr. President, the vote has been concluded. We immediately gathered around him. Congratulations, sir. The constitutional changes are finalized with 6 justices voting for the proposal. Yes, motherfucker, yes. I got the 6 I need. Peter jumped up and down like a little kid. Yes, congratulations, everybody. This is a historic moment, Anton. We have changed Seoul's constitution of 1929. I am without words. This is just the beginning. Hell yes, it is. Peter approached to give me a hug. I hugged him. We hugged each other. You did well, Anton. Congratulations, sir. Today is a big day. You must also start preparing a speech to announce the changes, sir. I go ahead and reach out to the cabinet. We can celebrate this together over a meeting. All of us immediately got to work to plan our next steps after our Supreme Court victory. Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah, and look at this! Look at this! The line is green! The line is green! Hallelujah! New Constitution. The much rated change is here. Like it praises President Train. After the new constitutional changes that were approved on Friday, many in the country found themselves discussing the necessity of the potential outcomes of the changes brought by the USP leadership. With the opposition vowing to undo the changes, independent MP Mansoon Leke praised the President Train for including a decrease to the undemocratic electoral threshold. The undemocratic 10% threshold has finally been changed, which was put in place to keep the British people out of social politics. I congratulate President Train for establishing an 8% threshold. Despite the small decrease, it will most likely be enough to bring the Workers' Party of Georgia to the Grand National Assembly, finally bringing an end to the suppression of the British voice, said Lecky in a public statement. Fuck yeah, I am a friend to the Bloods. Right. Hey. Fuck yeah. Cabinet meeting on the results of the vote. Lucian stood upright, holding a large folder of files under his arm. He bowed in acknowledgement. He looked exhausted. The cabinet has gathered in the White Room, sir. The Vice President will be opening the session soon. We can go in whenever you're ready. Thank you, Lucian. You look tired. How are you holding up? It's nothing, sir. I am ready and able as always. Are you sure? You can be honest with me. I'm always honest with you, sir. I'll admit this last year was tough, especially all that lobbying work, but it's nothing to break me down, sir. Trust me, I am fine. He fixed his tie. Anything you want to say before we go in? I only want to congratulate you again, sir. You wrote history. We have done it together. He slightly bowed his head. He gestured to the door. I think we should go, sir. Vice President Vector must have started the session already. Lucian held the door for me, and we both left the office for the White Room. When we entered the room, Peter was speaking to the cabinet members who were already seated around the table. As soon as they noticed me, they all stood up. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter turned towards me. Everybody except him took their seats. He stood right next to my chair in the middle. And here's our president. He held out my chair for me to sit down and smiled. Please, sit down. Let Peter talk. Peter walked to his seat and spoke, still standing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to discuss our current status and plan the remaining of our term. I know that some of you have had your concerns about our style of governance so far. There will be a time to speak up about these in the meeting today. But I must also thank you all for your hard work so far. We are very lucky to have a team like this. All of you have been invaluable to this administration. He has grimaced at his remarks. Having said that, now we have reached a critical point of our term. We are nearing the end. We have successfully made changes to the Swordfish Constitution. This is a historic accomplishment. Without this team, it couldn't have been possible. The new Constitution has brought us one step closer to the Swordfish dream. We should be proud of having strengthened our democracy. Our success with these changes has brought with it great support. Our party, which was divided at the beginning of our term, is finally coming together once more. So, let's start the meeting with a brief look at some reports. He fumbled with a stack of papers in front of him. According to the latest polls, they all seem to be content about our administration. The public opinion has not changed much. He took out a piece of paper from the stack and inspected it. The biggest concern for the people is the state of our economy. We are slowly slipping into a depression. It is only a matter of time until the people will be hit further. This will have a dire consequence for our administration. This is the time to give the best we can for this administration and for Sorland. Peter turned to me. I'll give the word to the president now. He sat down. Mr. Vice President, thank you for the opening. Everyone's eyes were focused on me. First, I want to hear brief reports from each ministry. Peter gestured at Simon and he immediately stood up. Mr. President, dear colleagues, Mr. Vice President was pretty on point with his summary of the growing economic status. He also used the words depression. Shouldn't have been more correct. Couldn't have been more correct. Our GDP has shrank by 50% last year. This downward trend has broken our economy over the last years. If we cannot contain this in time, we will end our term, in the truest of sense of the word, in a depression. However, this has not yet reflected well with our debt situation. Our total national debt has increased about 85 billion SR this year. If we maintain such a deficit over the next years, we will face a massive debt crisis which could crash the economy. The Assembly is working on introducing new tax bills which will generate more revenue for the economy If for the government, these efforts would depend on the government deficit situation. On the other hand, unemployment has seen no positive changes. There have been an increased joblessness. It is now at 22%. We need immediate measures to tackle this. Hundreds of thousands lose their jobs. He paused for a moment. This is terrible. Is there more to it? Well, one major concern is our nationalization decision. Our expenses have increased, and it did not send a very positive signal to the global and local market. I believe this will negatively affect us, have negative effects on our growth. And unfortunately, the benefits from our first infrastructure project don't look set to offset that loss. Best part from all that, I'll finish. But apart from all that, I'll finish with an update on our latest project. The manager reported that everything is going well and very fast with the Sun Agricultural Zone. I'll keep it brief for the sake of the whole meeting and end my report on that note. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Excuse me. Gus stood up as soon as Simon sat down. I will also keep it very brief, Mr. President. The trade deal with Welland increased our agricultural exports from the Bergia region. Investments in the region have greatly increased our agricultural capacity. The investments also led to a decrease in homelessness and unemployment in rural Bergia. With the completion of the Sun Agricultural Zone, we expect to see Bergia as a new economic powerhouse. That will be all. Thank you, Mr. Banger. Next up was Pascal. Mr. President, there are currently no major problems within the Ministry of Health. We are currently investigating some reports of a small polio outbreak around the village called Hamer. I believe you can get into more details in our policy meeting soon. Thank you, Mr. Bennywall. He has stepped up. The Ministry of Defense has very important report regarding the situation with Rumberg. The investigations show that Rumberg was in fact weaponizing rebels against our state. We have learned that they have been aiding the Blood rebels in Welland too. Our military must stand ready for any possible attack coming from Rumberg. We have gathered intelligence regarding their military research and production. They are building a massive army. Our military forces don't have the budget to prepare against such a force. We cannot let them threaten us like this. I don't think we should escalate. Let's refrain from sending them a response. Make the necessary arrangements, Mr. Lancia. We'll have to use whatever we have to its limit. Of course, sir. David stood up. Mr. President, Perla and Hylam have agreed to begin deal negotiations. We will be moving on with that very soon. Our relations with Agnolia have greatly improved. Our ministries have scheduled many joint projects together. Cooperation between Welland and Solent have increased to a new level. However, you are seeing its negative impact with Lesbia. The region is very unstable. With the incidents at Trumberg, Welland, and Haleyland, we must be very cautious. We can talk in more detail at our foreign policy meeting. Thank you, Mr. Whiskey. Sierra was next. Our ministry is working day and night to improve our education system and increase its accessibility. We have since built 100 new schools and improved accessibility. We have accomplished a lot in with our new curriculum. Our reforms will be greatly improving our output as a society. Elias suddenly stood up. Mr. President, there is an important report from our intelligence officers. We have disrupted the radio signals of several active Bloodish Freedom Front militants in Bergia. There seems to be some sort of preparation going on. We might need to implement some new measures soon. We will provide you with more detailed report at a later date. Unfortunately, after the departure of Governor Brown, the situation in the special zone had barely changed. Despite not following the extreme policies of his predecessor, Governor Kroll is continuing with discriminatory policies against the Bloods of Bergia. I'm afraid if this continues, we will have a major problem in our hands. The reports of the BFF organizing its forces is very concerning. Oh, also, Mr. Greaser had a report for you regarding an investigation you wanted him to look at. There is one more important thing to ask of you. I would like to transfer the gendarmerie under the Ministry of Interior to improve the internal security efforts. I haven't heard of this before. I'm still working on the proposal and have legal backing for it. I was going to mention it later. The Ministry of Defense shouldn't be meddling with internal security affairs to the gendarmerie. We had several incidents where they were too violent too quickly, and it stems from military officers giving reckless orders at times. The military is always a little too harsh, and it results in more unrest. Our police forces are trained to remain calm and suppress protests. Will you transfer gendarmerie to the interior in the future? I will support you in the gendarmerie authority transfer. Now it's your turn. Excellent. Nia smiled faintly. Nia stood up. Since the removal of Governor Braun from office, there have been some positive results for our citizens in Bergia. However, Governor Kroll seems to be looking for a new loopholes to continue Braun's racist policies in different ways. Mr. Erzden gained a lot of popularity for his fight against Governor Braun and is now leading a peaceful ground movement against Governor Kroll. Luckily, I've been working on the semi-autonomous zone project for Bergia, and I have an update on that. Apart from a few small details, the project is ready to be implemented. We'll soon be able to get rid of the current governor. I will send the final documents for you to sign soon, Mr. President. Great work as always. Thank you. Of course. Nia took her seat. Next, I want to talk about our new focus and some of my plans going forward. Instead of focusing on our party as a whole, I will add a new vision in our manifesto. Must focus on raising our public opinion and start campaigning for the next election already. State of our economy is very concerning. It must be our focus to achieve quick economic development. Okay, so we can go with socialism, or we can go with focus on the economic development. Okay, so between the socialist jump of Abdel Nasser's politics, and we're heading towards a loss anyway, so let's go with this first one. The manifesto. The cabinet looked uneasy. They had spoken with a concerned look in their eyes. Sorry? As I said, I will reform our party platform. I see, and the party leadership will agree with that. Do not agree with that, Mrs. Graff. You'll learn about my thoughts if you bring your suggestions to the leadership. That was the extent of my comments. We can move on. Thank you for your comments. I turn to the others. If there are no comments, let's move on with the meeting. I'm not gonna form an alliance with the PFGP. I believe that is everything. One by one, my ministers packed up and left the White Room. I followed suit and headed to my office. Carl Greaser was waiting for me by the door. Mr. President, can I have a moment of your time? I have something to discuss. Of course, let's go inside the office. I entered the office. I sat behind my desk. Please have a seat, Carl. Thank you, sir, but I'm fine. I will not take long. The anti-corruption police has compiled a report regarding the active investigations. We have been watching the oligarchs closely, just as you asked, and found a very complex web of connections. There are missing links in our investigations, but the oligarchs seem to be involved in a huge case of corruption and lobbying. Even though so many links were led to Walter Tusk, we couldn't find a direct incriminating evidence yet. Currently, we're following the trail that leads to Estord, which will hopefully and finally get us Tusk. We also have another suspicion. Our findings led us to believe that there might be some connection between the increased illegal arms trafficking in East Mokopa and the oligarchs. If we decide to proceed with our investigations, we can potentially uncover a lot more. Continue your efforts and keep looking. Yes, sir. I'll give you an update soon. I will also send you the detailed report of our previous findings. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Carl. He bowed his head and left the office. The last 2.5 years had gone by so fast. We are in the middle of our term. Whistleblower agent report. Agent Hailstone has revealed intelligence about a secret nuclear weapons program developed in Rumburg. Our intelligence has verified the details relayed about a heavy water facility in the north of the kingdom and a ballistic missile test site. The agent will be provided security under the protection program and will be given resources to transfer further intelligence to our units. Holy shit. Ribéry requests aid. The buzzing shops in the city of Ribéry are now filled with barred up shops and sites of looting. The city has been hit hard due to its main suppliers being from the nearby city of Lakaven. Many corporations and businesses are moving away from the city entirely. Citizens of Ribéry are requesting the government's help to get out of their dire situation. But what the fuck am I supposed to do? Is there in protest? Thousands of British people have gathered in protest and called for the special zone to be abolished. Governor reported that certain groups within the protesting crowd vandalized shops and public property, and the regional police force intervened. According to the report of the police, the group dispersed, but hundreds were wounded. The police are also said to have found 11 illegal Ambergian-made pistols in the crowd. Gang violence diminished. The police chief of Esther reported that local police forces have finally eliminated one of the biggest money-making schemes of the Coranelli. According to the report of the last month, 40 mob members have been arrested, along with 3 high-ranking members of the Coranelli. Address to the nation speech. Lucian and I walked into my office in the Maroon Palace to make my address to the nation speech. It was unusually crowded today. Cameras, lights, and microphones were set in place, and the crew was standing by ready to start filming. Are you ready, sir? Yes, let's do it. Good. I think the crew is ready. As soon as you take your seat, we can go live. Took my seat and rearranged my notes on the desk as a crew member powdered my face with a cotton puff. After everybody was ready, the director gave the sign to start filming. I looked directly into the camera. Brothers and sisters, I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk to you about the changes we have. I'd like to speak about our future, about a great historic effort to give the words freedom, fairness, and hope new meaning and power. 2 years ago, I spoke to you of change, and we have accomplished that. We have reached a turning point in Solon's history. Our new constitution is a second revolution in the history of Solon that truly transforms the course of government with just one word: democracy. We transformed a system that had caused endless confusion and resentment into one that is clear, simple. We made a constitution that no longer protects the rights of select few elites, but ensures the participation of all. You know, I've spoken with and received letters from thousands of you. I know how hungry you were for change. Make no mistake, together we can change for Solent forever. We now ensure that neither I nor any other person who holds the position of president will pose the risk of ruling by decree. By the way, Nasser's constitution did put some limits on his powers. So that was a first when it comes to Arab leaders or you know, non-liberal Arab leaders at the time. Beyond this, we intend to strengthen the democratic freedoms of every citizen. We have also lowered our unfair election threshold. No longer will the voice of the minority be silenced. We are creating a nation once again vibrant, robust, and alive. Pause to take a deep breath. We will not rest until every Solish citizen enjoys the freedom, dignity, and opportunity that is our birthright. Let history say of us, these were the golden years when Solish democracy was reborn, when Solon reached for the best. I remind you of the revolutionary phrase, morning will come, victory is close. I am now glad to say that morning has finally come. The future is in our hands. I took another deep breath, Lucian shoot a fly away from my forehead. For a soul of wisdom, for a soul of vision that sees tomorrow's dreams in the learning and hard work we do today. We are not here to congratulate ourselves on what we have done, but to challenge ourselves to finish what has not yet been done. Amogna Weskor Victor Nzizda. The director gave the cut signal and the cameraman stopped filming. My speech was finished. Alright, now we move on. Rain, the future lies is in our hands. Revelations. Now we get fucked beyond repair. Now shit will hit the fan. Now our growth will go down to the drain. Gendarmerie police issue. A massive miscommunication between the Interior and Gendarmerie has resulted in a failed raid on Investord. The Ministry of Defense and Interior have both put the blame on each other. There will be a gathering soon to solve the ongoing dispute within security. Radical journalist killed en route to interview. A devastating incident in Investord has shaken the journalism community. A reporter from the Radical was killed while traveling to interview Robar Lehman, the influential founder of the State Educators Corp, and a known ally of Tarkin Soul. This event has sent shockwaves across the city and is currently under throughout the investigation. The motives behind the act and its potential ramifications on press remain topics of grave concern. Queen demands reparations for the 15-day war. Queen Beatrice Livingstone has called for reparations to be paid for the so-called past atrocities that occurred during the 15-day war. Rumberg demands that the price of past wrongdoings must be paid if a path to peace is to be open between the two nations. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is analyzing the situation and coming up with a plan of action. Bitch, please. Geopolitical. Kinal's anti-piracy summit. United efforts to combat rising piracy and maritime security concerns. Mustafa, Prime Minister Rezan God of Kinan, hosted a crucial anti-piracy summit, bringing together leaders and representatives from the Jinan, Gina, whatever the fuck, economic cooperation, and other nations such as Zelina, Narashima, and Fincao. The conference aimed to address the alarming rise in piracy incidents in the region and focus on developing a united and coordinated response to protect maritime interests and combat piracy funded by certain ATO nations and private military companies. During the summit, Goda emphasized the importance of fostering cooperation and solidarity among the participating nations. Piracy poses a severe threat to our economies, maritime trade, and regional stability. It is essential for us to join forces and tackle this menace head on, working together for the safety and well being of our citizens. In Goda stated, the summit led to the signing of the Mustafa Declaration, which included the establishment of a joint naval patrols, enhanced intelligence sharing, and capacity building initiatives for the nations involved. Additionally, the representatives stressed the need to address the root causes of piracy, such as poverty, unemployment, and weak governance in some of the affected nations, as well as concerns of piracy being funded by certain ATO countries and PMCs. Walker wins the Caucasian election, stabilizing Ventry City amid economic stagnation. I will not read everything. Queen Beatrice demands reparations. 100 killed in Heliland. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be reading all of these right now. Departure of President's son from home. It was a cloudy, rainy day in Holsworth. The gloomy weather couldn't dampen my spirits, but considering reforms that passed in court, I had won. That wasn't the only cause for excitement in the Rain house. Today, Frank was finally leaving home. My son piled the last of his bags next to the door. Serge and the assistant driver were waiting outside next to the car. Did you pack everything? Don't forget to give me a call immediately after you arrive. I will. I think I'm all packed. Monica helped him put his backpack on while Serge started carrying the luggage to the car. I made you a sack lunch. I'll get it from the kitchen. She dashed down the hall. Frank and I turned to face each other in the doorway. So I guess this is it. I guess it is. Dad, Frank shifted his weight nervously. Haven't forgotten what you told me about university years. Hope the army gives me a chance to prove myself the same way you did. Don't model your life on mine. You're your own man now, Frank. Frank smiled. All right, Dad. At that moment, Dina rushed to the door. Frank! Frank! And yes, I'm gonna use the Super Mario voice for her. I'm gonna miss you. I'll miss you too. Don't forget, you've got to give Mom and Dad an extra hard time for both of us now. Dina nodded. Okay. Frank picked up his sister and gave her a big hug. Monica appeared in the doorway holding a paper bag. I cut the crust off your sandwich just the way you used to like. I'm not a kid anymore, Mom. Can a mother pretend? Oh, Frank. She embraced him with tears in her eyes. Frank looked as if he was about to cry as well. I caught her glaring at me over his shoulder. I hoped someday she would understand why I decided to send him away. Serge approached. Sir, Frank needs to catch the next bus to the border in order to report for basic training on time. We will have to leave now to make it. Thank you, Serge. Frank turned around and took one last look at me. Make me proud. Frank nodded before heading to the car. It's difficult to see them grow and leave, isn't it? It is time for him to find himself in the world. He will. We all did, after all. The army changes a man, even if he never sees combat. I think it will be a liberating experience for him. It's never easy for boys to live in the shadow of their fathers. And it must be even harder when one's father is Anton Rain. A great man like you casts a very long shadow. But everyone thinks that. Excuse my language, Mr. President, but to hell with them. You're my president now and forever. He looked at his watch. Time to go. Frank waved his hand as he entered the car. The engine started as they were on their way. Monica stood next to me as they drove away. Her eyes were teary. There he goes. It already feels different. She put her head on my shoulder. I stroked her hair supportively. She turned to me, kissed me on the cheek, and put her head on my shoulder again. At least he has a father he can boast to his new friends about. Anton, the great reformer. Sounds good, doesn't it? We watched for a few more minutes, even after the car was no longer in sight. Wait, wait! I kicked my son out of the home. Oh my god, so Frank put a dent in my pocket? Really? He left and I made more money? Intelligence report Volksland might be preparing for a major invasion. Military intelligence has reported a massive buildup of landing vehicles and Navy ships at the port of Wilburn on Volksland. Our agents are suspecting a massive naval military invasion of Helluland or Agnolia in the future. It is not fully confirmed as the build-up could be a mock-up exercise to avert eyes from elsewhere. Our covered agents will monitor the situation on the ground for as long as possible. President's son to join the military. Solan's military just got a new recruit, Frank Rain, son of Anton, is selflessly foregoing university education in order. Okay, fuck off. Rain's son drafted. The president's sons. They're just like the rest of us. 17-year-old Frank Rain has been conscripted into the military, putting an end to debates about which university would accept his young scion, a notorious dim bulb. Fuck off! As the president could easily have abused his powers to send his son to any institution of his choosing, we consider this a win for ethics, and hopefully a sign that Rain Sr. won't be inciting a war anytime soon. Hager condemns Helen's government and threatens intervention. Dispute with the interior order. Dispute with the military. Okay. Okay, so I have two choices. Gaston Financial Report. Read the Gaston Annual Financial Report and see the results. The highly anticipated report from Gaston has arrived. Minister Simon Hall and Gus Magner analyzed the significance of this document as it outlines the return on our state-held shares, thus reflecting the recent performance of one of the nation's pivotal economic energy drivers. The Treasury will receive a transaction if there are positive returns. The state doesn't need profits. What? Aww. Fuck off. I need the money. The state might not need it, but I believe it does. Presidential salary increase. The Grand National Assembly discussed and passed a new law increasing the yearly salaries of elected officials, including that of the President of Solent. Okay, that explains the money. That explains the money. You know, that's a bit of a kick in the nuts because I could have sent him to study abroad, but whatever. Oh boy. Alright, let's continue. Discussion of the changes to the law. Lucian and I sat in my office waiting for Peter. I was at my desk and he was on the sofa legs crossed. Sir, I have some news for you. I've talked to the USP leadership about possible changes to the party, sir. Changing our core values doesn't seem to sit well with party members in general, but I made sure that they understand who the current leader of the party is. It is still possible to add minor changes to the platform. We could go over the details of the new manifesto if you want. I believe you've already made a draft. Yes, let's do it. I handed him the draft and we started discussing it. The draft outlined a new set of principles that were socialist. Lucian read through the draft. I see, there's not much to add here, you've already established your stance. It's going to be problematic, but I'll make sure the party embraces this. He looked at his watch again. Looks like Mr. Vice President is late yet another time. He lowered his voice. I am slightly concerned about Peter. He seems to have his mind occupied. He's been late to almost every meeting we've had recently. I noticed it too. I need to talk to him in private sometime. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. It was Peter. He walked inside with files in both hands. Gentlemen, why are you so late? We were stuck in traffic around Seoul Square. There was a whole gaggle of ladies trying to organize an illegal march. We had to wait for the police to show up. I placed the files on my table, took out several documents and organized them in front of me. There's everything, just as you asked. Our plans for our next reforms. Hence, here are some suggested reforms. You can pass these with your decrees as you like. What are your thoughts, Anton? I have a few ideas myself. I took a look at the documents. Oh, I can't purge the general staff. Okay, let's see. Fair Trade and Competition Commission. Trade and commerce in Solent has few regulatory measures, resulting in unfair competition at times. A new Fair Trade Commission can be established via decree to push for fair market competition by protecting local industries through new regulations. Bucket, let's sign this. Lower retirement age, Supreme Court, free prescription medicine. Prescription medicine in Solent is partially paid by the Ministry of Health according to the importance of the medicine. A new decree would allow citizens to get their medication completely for free. Fuck it. We're already going onto the deep end. Let's just support. Uh, I can desolenize. Lower retirement age. Retirement age of Solent has been increased to 67 in the mid 1940s due to economic stagnation. The older voting blocs are requesting a decrease. Our administration can pass a decree that would lower the retirement age at 6 to 60. We can Freedom of speech is protected in Solent, but with the rise of new media, private organizations gain a massive influence on society. With a new decree, could create a government agency, the SRSC, that could protect the independence of the media or control it. You know what? I'm just going to lower the retirement age. Ah, fuck, we went to minus 21. Following a brief discussion, I took notes about my decisions. The Fair Trade Commission would be essential in dealing with the monopolies. It was time we established a body that regulates economic competition. It's also great that we'll be giving out free medicine. Our poor regions definitely suffered from the lack of it. However, this will put a massive burden on our government budget. It will also be very difficult to build infrastructure in order to provide medicine equally and efficiently. Thankfully, this policy could reflect very well on the vote, especially with the rural and poor on the poor, if it's executed correctly. Yeah, I agree. And lastly, it looks like we are finally decreasing retirement age. This was a very popular demand, a good choice, definitely. But it will be a huge burden for our government to provide for so many people. Yes, it will have serious complications in the future. However, it is also true that this will reflect very positively in the upcoming elections. It's what the public asked for, after all. Well, we both respect your decisions, Anton. There is one more thing. He places a stack of paper in front of me. Miss Morgan has sent out the plans for the semi-autonomous zone of Bergia. We can still try running it through the assembly if you decide to sign it. Sign the documents. I signed the documents. Alright, it's the assembly's decision now. But now that's everything settled, I should get to work. We'll catch up soon. Lucian looked at his watch. We actually have 6 more minutes. But very well, let's call it here. Thank you both. Alright? And our growth is stagnating. Nickel commerce all-time high. Commercial activity reports coming from the Ministry of Economics display that small business activity in Linköping has increased with new goods entering and exiting the port with trucks traveling at the same distance as before with faster speeds thanks to the new highway. Lincoln also reported an increase in visitors and new business openings ever since the opening of H3. The influx of people is primarily coming from Magnolia and the Nargis region of Solent, who are buying properties and enjoying the cheaper seaside alternative route to Lakavin. Free prescription drugs, new jobs opened for the younger generations. Relieved welfare system. Okay, at least the people remember me as the man. Trade talks with Chancellor of Falkland. Trade talks with Prime Minister of Lesbia. Commission to ensure competition and fair trade. Rain struck another blow to the economy. The president lowered the retirement age. Medicine is fully free. Alright, and geopolitics. Circling over Stalport. Okay, so basically, dude was too drunk to meet. Alright, trade talks with the Chancellor of Volksland. That's gonna be good. I need Volksland. Midnight was approaching as our delegation boarded the SRS Holston. The large ship was once the royal yacht of King Egmont himself. By the order of Sol, it was repurposed to serve the leaders of Sorland for state visits. We departed from the port of Lakavin along with few other smaller escort boats. I entered the luxurious compartments reserved, for heads of state. I lay down on the bed to rest my eyes before we arrived at Wilburn, a major city in Volksland. The Markian Sea was known for its treacherous waters, but tonight's trip promised to be rather calm and quiet. Still, I couldn't sleep. I went out to the upper deck to have some fresh air. A light breeze was blowing, and I relished in its and I relished its briny smell. There was nobody here except David. My foreign minister was leaning over a railing, gazing out at the inky waves. Mr. President, I'm surprised you are still up this late. I can't sleep. Do you mind if I ask why? Are you also worried about the future all the time? I'm an old man, Mr. President. I have been alive for over 70 years. I spent most of those years worrying about various things endlessly. What I realized in time was that worrying is simply a part of life. As mankind, we are forever gullible, always reaching out for what we don't have. That includes the choices we could have made. and their results which will never come to pass. Thank you for wisdom, David. Anytime, Mr. President. It's chilly out here. I must go and try to get some sleep. I'm an old man, after all. I recommend you do the same. Good idea. Have a good night. I went back to my compartment to sleep. The dawn arrived, and our ship moored at the busy port of Wilburn. Amid the usual camera flashes, our convoy made its way to the train station. After a short, uneventful ride, we arrived at the central train station of Highland, the capital city of Vogsland. A huge crowd was already there, awaiting my arrival. They swarmed around me and took photos as I stepped out of the train. Our delegation met with various members of the Vogslandian cabinet before taking our cars to the royal palace. The flags of Vogsland and the CSP were waving next to the entrance. Assistants took my belongings and led me to the museum wing. It was there that I saw Chancellor Hegel. He was inspecting a very large painting on the wall. Comrade Hegel. He turned around. He was a man of small stature with a bald spot and a striking visage. His famous pipe was in his mouth. Upon seeing me, he smiled and opened his arms. We hugged and he patted me on the shoulder. Comrade Rain, it's so good to see you. I've wanted to meet you in person for a long time. It's a pleasure to finally meet with you. He gestured towards the painting. This was made in 1776 by the famous Wagnerian painter Otto Kieper. I looked at the painting. It must have been over 5 meters tall. It was a battle scene. On the left side there were banners carried by Vags, on the right, swords. Countless spears formed a triangle at the center. The sky was red from the blood. What do you think about this? I think we have come far. After all, we are standing here side by side instead of facing each other on a battlefield. We can do so much more through unity, Comrade Rain. He started walking. We started walking. To me, this painting tells me how far we have come. Swords and fogs may have had our troubles, but ultimately we are brothers. Now, two countries in this world understand each other more. Exactly my thoughts. He nodded and pointed towards another painting that was almost as large as the first one. A burning city was depicted. Looking closer, I realized it was Conriad. The Great Fire of Conriad, the most shameful event in all of Valgladesian history. The scar of it must still sting. Another result of the evils of imperialism. Well said, Comrade Rain. Thankfully, we in Voxlands have now cut off the head of the snake called imperialism. A guard approached the Chancellor. If you will excuse me for 1 minute. The Chancellor stepped away with the guard while I looked around. I saw a more recent painting depicting the upheaval of farmers against an aristocrat. What did you say? What did you say? Hegel's loud voice echoed in the empty halls. Give the miners what they want. As for the director of the company, I want him to face a trial for undermining the workers of Foxland related to the Minister of Justice at once. No one can exploit our people and expect to get away with it. After receiving the order, the guard hastily left. Hegel walked over to me. Sorry about that. You know how it is. What was that about? A director of a foreign joint venture mining corporation decided not to pay his miners their salary for 2 consecutive months. Excuse me, I bit my tongue. He will be handled. Evolution is a slow process, Comrade Rain. Slow, but sure. Follow me. We will have a short breakfast. We made our way to the exquisite dining room. I looked around at the table where everything seemed to be colored gold, blue, and white. Genuinely speaking, I feel more at ease in this meeting than with any other head of state that I met. Smoked bear meat, a local delicacy, was served with eggs. After a very delicious meal, we sat down on 2 couches. I immediately saw the portrait of Leon Maleniev staring down at me. What can you tell me about Comrade Maleniev? Ah, you have spotted the portrait. Well, where do I begin? Comrade Maleniev is a good friend of mine. Although I don't agree with him on every matter, he demands respect. Voxlandian socialism aims to eliminate the power of the state by promoting the responsibility, freedom, and well-being of the people. One of our key cornerstones is the evolution of big government to smaller councils with houses, citizen participation. Dude, as the fucking Jamahiriya system. We believe that the revolution in Falkland is stable enough that we do not need the vanguardist approach of millennialism. We are already in the process of such transformation. However, our revolution here in Falkland owes a great deal to Maleniev. He is the father of millennialism, the symbol of global revolution. Not only is the first communist revolutionary leader of the world, is he the most okay? He managed to unite a whole continent, forming the greatest country in the world. Comrade Rain, if you'd like, I can put in a good word for you with Comrade Maleniev, with the feeling you would get along with him. Would you like that? Nothing would make me happier. Thank you. Very well. 2 cups of coffee were brought by an assistant. I took a sip while he lit his pipe. Let's begin then. Now, before you say anything, I think we will be glad you will be glad to hear that I accept the deal. I had my doubts in the beginning, but I disappeared once I met you in person. What doubts did you have? Nothing you should worry about. I will sign the papers shortly. He got up from his seat, walked over to the window, and looked outside. Now that's out of the way, there are 2 things on my mind. He turned to me. I think you and I are like-minded people, Comrade Rain. I would like to solidify our newfound friendship and admiration with a military alliance between Voxland and Sorland. A pact that connects our 2 nations. No, it's much more than that. A sign that unity between Vogs and Swords has finally arrived. He clenched his fist and looked at me. What do you say, Comrade Rain? Are you ready to achieve greatness with me? Accept, Comrade Hegel. May this brighten the future of both of our countries. My army is fucked. Okay? My army is fucked. Rumberg is planning an invasion. Rumberg has fucking nuclear weapons. And right now, I have Hegel. I have the. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I need to Google it. I need to Google it. Because I have never done this before. What are the consequences of an alliance with Volksland Suzerain? Against as consequences such as potential conflict with Lesbia, the need to support Volksland in the invasion of Rumberg, and the closure of diplomatic or military options with Western Bloc powers like Gnolia. For instance, Agnolia's claim to the island. Okay, I need an alliance. Okay, hold on. Because I don't want to lose trade with Agnolia, but I also don't want to be invaded. So I need to weigh in my options here. I need to be delicate on the matter and very, very thoughtful. Uh, you can never have all 4 trade deals. If you deal with Voxland, Lesbia won't deal with you, and vice versa. You can, however, maintain trade with Agnolia and trade such ally with Voxland, and Agnolia won't remove that trade deal, even if Voxland's attacked and you support the attack. Wait, for real? Okay, I think I'm going with the alliance. I mean, relatively speaking, I mean, like, we need to not be bombed, but I also don't want to join an alliance with the fuck with a superpower. All right, let's continue playing. I accept Chromatego made this bright in the future of both of our countries. Most excellent. He called out to a nearby assistant. A moment later, the assistant returned with 2 shots of vodka. In Vogsland, quit ring on a contract, Comrade Rain. We cleaned the glasses and drank our shots. The strong bite of alcohol turned into a sweeter aftertaste. Hegel looked down for a moment. He walked over to the window and gazed outside, his arms crossed behind his back. Now that we are allies, I must tell you something. I have had it with those damn Agnolians who claim our land as their own. As if their occupation is not enough, they kill my people in their homes in Helluland, slaughtering them like mere cattle. Imagine they did that to the Swedish people. What would you do, Comrade Rain? Comrade Hegel, I urge you to remain calm. No one wants war. Foxland is being attacked. Agnolia clearly wants war. How can I stay calm? If they want to mess with Foxland, they will see our might. He turned to me and put his hands on my shoulder. Comrade Rain, I am planning on invading Helluland to save Voxladian people from the clutches of the murderous Agnolian governor. Don't worry, I don't wish to pull Sora into this conflict in any way. This is not your battle after all. What I want from you is simple. I want you to recognize Heliland as Voxladian territory. If we have Sorland behind our cause, everything will be easier. What do you say, Comrade Train? Are you with me? I will also provide some minor financial assistance as a fellow traveler. Please, Comrade Hagel, you must remain calm. So many lives would be lost. No, you know what? Fuck it. Reclamation war. I am with you, Comrade Hagel, because we are playing the Nasserist Run. Eventually, our position is to, if liberate all occupied territories. To liberate occupied territories where people are under occupation and being murdered. Agnolia is doing Israeli tactics in Helgoland. We are committed to the Nasserist Run. We are committed to supporting Hegel. I am with you, Comrade Hegel. Basically, Voxland is our Syria, and we are going to support it. But then again, we were Nasser was defending Syria from an incoming first Turkish invasion and then an incoming Israeli invasion, which then diverted the Turkish things in the 50s, but the Israeli thing in the 60s, which diverted the attention of Israel to the Egyptian front, and then the Six Day War happened. Then it is time. We have achieved a lot today, Comrade Rain. Another. The assassin immediately showed up with 2 more shots of vodka. We gulped down the shots even after clinking. As the assassin collected the empty glasses, he whispered into Hegel's ear. His eyes widened as he clenched his fist in anger. The Agnolians did what? He composed himself and smiled at me. Comrade Rain, I'm afraid you will have to excuse me. There is a matter I need to attend to. Is there anything I can help with? Thank you for the offer, but no. Have a good day and enjoy hell. We shook our hands and Hegel left in a hurry. I returned to Holstor with good news. Okay. Oh shit. Relationship with Agnolia, we have an unfriendly term, but we still have the trade agreement. Even though it's unfriendly, well, fuck you, I just want your money. And besides, you are weak. Trade agreement and alliance. And their military is fucking strong. Okay? Now, let's look at Wellen. What's their military is weak? Lesbia's military post trade terms. our military with Lesbia is equivalent, but Voxland has a strong military. And what's the king? What's and the military of Rumburg is overwhelming, so it's a no-brainer. Solent Voxland Pact. Swedish government has officially signed a new economic deal and a military pact with Voxland, which brings the two economies closer through an economic partnership agreement, as well as their militaries with a new military alliance. The Solent Voxland alliance was made official by President Rain and Chancellor Hegel in Haarlem yesterday. The deal is slated to benefit both country economies with big benefits to Swedish and Voxladian businesses. It will also bring the militaries of both countries closer together through joint military training and intelligence sharing. According to the pact, both countries will join each other in any defensive wars. This signing marks a new period of close relations between Solent and Voxland, which will see two regional powers work together as allies. Solent recognizes Helgoland as Voxlandian territory. President Train has announced that Solent will recognize Voxland claim on the island of Helgoland. After this meeting, Chancellor Hegel sending ripples around Eastern Maricopa and beyond. Helgoland is an island that has been long disputed between Agnolia and Voxland. Due to its strategic position following the bloody conflict in Helgoland, Voxland has been increasing its presence on Agnolia and started to pose a threat to peace in the region. Solent's decision to support Voxland may be the sign of an incoming conflict. Regardless now, Agnolia stands alone in Eastern Maricopa against two major regional powers. That's what you get. That's what you get for being a bitch. You got joint military and diplomacy, alliance with Voxland, trade with Voxland, recognized Helland as Voxlandian. We have trade tariffs by Lesbia, but like, hmm, we trade with Voxland and free trade zone with Voxland. This is amazing. Right. Oh wait, there's a ATO expresses discontent over Solent Voxland Pact. The emergence of a strategic alliance between Solent and Voxland has elicited unease within the ATO. The new alliance, seen as a strategic maneuver, seems to hint at a shift in the balance of regional power between CSP affiliated nations. In particular, Arcadian President White Walker, representing the ATO's concerns, has drawn attention to Falkland's enhanced naval activities in the Maricopa Sea. This naval escalation, coupled with the establishment of the new Solent Voxland alliance, is perceived as a potential source of regional destabilization. Consequently, the ATO, and by extension Arcadia, is urging restraint in the face of these shifting political dynamics. To hold trade talks with the Prime Minister of Lesbia. I was in my office preparing my briefcase for the trip ahead to Perla in Lesbia to discuss the trade deal. I heard two knocks and I turned around to see David, who was spending heavily. Mr. President! Something wrong. I have just received a communication from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Lesbia about our trade deal. Because of our trade deal with Voxland, they have decided to cancel the negotiations. Is there any way to can still get them on the table? Unfortunately not. It seems like the trade deal with Lesbia fell apart. I started unpacking my briefcase. That's not all, Mr. President. Go ahead. He handed me a document with the emblem of the Ministry of Economy of Lesbia on it. Lesbia has put tariffs on our trade in retaliation. They are trying to economically weaken us. It looks like we have made an adversary. I put down the document and slammed the table. Well, who gives a fucking fuck? My economy is growing. My economy is in the green now. Projected growth, it's going upwards. It's an upward tick. And, fuck you. If I'm Nasser, then this is Iran. This is the Shahist Iran. And you know what? Fuck the Shah of Iran. Fuck the Shah of Iran. Nasser supported the revolutionary movement in its crib, in its cradle, when it started beginning working against the Shah of Iran. Nasser helped the Iran freedom movement to organize and to train. But he also always emphasized that the revolution should come from Iranians with Iranian capabilities, not from an outside source. However, he would help diplomatically and will help with intelligence and training, like intelligence in training, like training people. And when Ayatollah Khomeini returned to Iran, the first thing he did was thank Nasser, after his death. So there's that. And you know what? Fuck you. This is exactly going according to plan. We are living the Nasserist Run. SPA cancels meeting. Yeah, they can they can kill themselves out of, figuratively speaking, out of their spite. Private meeting with Peter Vector. It was dark, chilly. It was a dark, chilly evening when Peter called and asked if we could meet. He gave no details. All he said was that it was important. I drove alone through Holsworth suburbs until I reached the meeting point he named. 147 Ruhak Avenue, number 26, our old campaigning headquarters, untouched since the night of the election. This was where everything began. I made my way up the dusty staircase of the office building. The light in the second floor hallway was out, so I used a cigarette lighter to find my way to the wooden door, block 26. I pulled on the handle, but it wouldn't budge. If the door had always been a pain to open. Okay, I need to make sure that, yes, yes, it's working. The mic is working. Coming! Peter pushed the door on the door with all his weight. It made a screeching sound as it opened. Without further ado, I bid you welcome to this grand nostalgia trip hosted by yours truly, Peter Vector. He made an exaggerated bow. The dust from the open door was still settling down. Feeling sentimental yet? Indeed, I haven't been to this place in ages. I miss it sometimes. Even that damn door. Come on here, remember this? He walked over to his old desk and pointed to the gramophone that had annoyed our neighbors and kept us company for so many late nights. Peter flipped the switch and filled the room with swing music from the 20s. I'll be damned, it still works. I thought this office was sold off. No, I've been paying the rent. Too many memories attached to this place just to sell it. And you know, we might use it again soon. He put his hand under the desk and brought a bottle out. He took a swig out of it and passed the bottle to me. No, thank you. Come on, Anton, I insist. I'd rather not. Fine. Peter snapped his fingers at the music while going through the items in the room. It looked virtually unchanged since election night. Come on, have a look around. See if it doesn't bring back memories. Check your old desk drawers. I walked over to my old desk, sat down on the squeaky chair, and opened the top drawer. Inside, there were a few old coins, pencils, and sheets of paper underneath them. Something caught my eye. It was a photograph of me and Monica sitting under a tree. This must have been 10, maybe 15 years ago. We looked so young and so happy. Monica would love to see this. Nice find. Look at baby Anton. You didn't even have your iconic look. I took the photograph and slid it into my jacket pocket. Looked through the storage boxes. I walked over to the tower of storage boxes and opened one of them. In one of the storage boxes, I found a heavy object wrapped safely. I unwrapped it. It was an emerald-colored statue of a goat, the symbol of Solent. I remembered that this was a gift from Brenda, one of the 53 election campaign assistants. It look good on my desk in the palace. Brenda, 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 always sucking up to you. And where did it get her? Seriously, where? I have no idea where she ended up. I take the statue. I lifted the storage box with the statue in it and put it near the door so I could take it on the way out. Go through the records next to the gramophone. I made my way to the gramophone and started flipping through the records next to it. I found one of my favorite albums ever, Mountains by Janet Gers, a set of plaintive folk songs that made me yearn for the countryside whenever I heard it. What a classic. You should mail that to Frank so he can learn that what real music is. I take the record, pull the record out, put it under my arm, and place it next to the door. Enough going through old stuff. Let's talk. Yes, yes, all in good time. He gestured to the bottle he had in his hand. No, I'm good. He shrugged, took a very big gulp out of the bottle, and staggered to the side afterwards. I know you, Peter. What are you hiding? Nothing. Let's go up to the roof. The view was always amazing from there. We went up the stairs to the roof. The view was mesmerizing. The buildings of Fosfor twinkled below us, while the stars shone bright in the sky. We sat and leaned back against the wall, taking it all in. Right as I was starting to get up, I heard a sobbing sound. I turned to Peter and saw tears streaming down his cheeks. I've not seen a night sky beautiful enough to make Peter Vector cry. I've not yet seen a night sky beautiful enough to make Peter Vector cry. He wiped his tears away and laughed. I messed up, Anton. I messed up big time. Evelyn's leaving me. She wants a divorce. You two always had rough patches. I'm sure you kiss and make up. It's difficult. It's different this time. I've been sleeping with Livia Suno. You've been what? I know, she's your secretary. I'm so sorry. It's just Evelyn hasn't been the same since she lost her job, and Livia was giving me sultry looks from the day I hired her. You were away, I was drunk, one thing led to another. But she's more than just a pretty girl, Anton. She's smart and kind. I think we really connected. Don't tell me you're going to run off with her. So in this situation, Vector Peter is Amir, Abdul Hakim Amir, and Livia is Berlanti. And don't tell me you're going to run off with her. No, no, we're ending things. I told her it's too unprofessional. I want Evelyn back. Who else knows besides me and the three of you? Nobody, I swear. There was an edge of desperation in Peter's voice. He took another drink. How many years have we known each other? How many scrapes have we gotten ourselves out of? I can handle this myself. Just trust me and don't bring anyone else into this. I turned to face my friend, the vice president. The habits that had gotten him dubbed the bad boy of social politics when we were young were no longer so charming coming from a middle aged man. Yet he was still a capable politician, and I couldn't ignore our long history together. You've done enough damage. I will handle it myself. Without waiting for his reaction, I left the rooftop alone and made my way downstairs. On my way out, I grabbed my belongings and took one last look back at the office. It had been home for some happy memories for sure, but this visit had permanently cured me of any nostalgia. As soon as I arrived home, I headed up to my study, sat down, and stared at the telephone. I called Evelyn. I picked up the phone and dialed Peter's home number. Evelyn answered after a few rings. Anton, it's late. Is everything alright? I told her what I knew about her, Peter, and Livia. Oh. She was silent for so long, I thought she might have hung up. Whatever you have to say, it won't change my mind. Evelyn, please, I didn't call to change your mind. I'm on your side. Evelyn gave a short, sharp laugh. Now you're on my side? You're his best friend, Anton. Don't tell me you had no idea what he was getting up to all this time. You're right. He behaved despicably, and I did nothing to stop him. To be fair, neither did I. For years. But look at the woman he goes after: secretaries, kitchen staff, aides. Remember Brenda? What do they have in common? When the vice president asks them for sex, they might lose their job if they refuse. I'd go to the media about this if I wasn't persona non grata at the whole sort post. And if there was a shred of a chance I'd be taken and if there was a shred of a chance I'd be taken seriously. But at the very least I will no longer be an accomplice to his abuse of power. Frankly, Anton, neither should you. Evelyn hung up without waiting for me to respond. I took a minute to think over what she had said. Call Lucian and tell him what happened. Still holding the receiver, I dialed Lucian's number. He picked up very quickly. Yes, Mr. President. I told Lucian everything Peter had told me about himself, Evelyn, and Olivia. Thank you for calling me, Mr. President. This serves to confirm some suspicions of my own. We have to meet. Past suspicions. I'd rather discuss this in person tomorrow morning in the office, early before either of the two arrive. Don't bring this up with anyone else. I fear we may have more than a mere dalliance on our hands. The line dropped. I stared at the receiver, wondering what his last statement meant. What was going on that I didn't know about? I went to bed, but couldn't sleep at all. National Business Council warns of excessive spending. The NCBC issued a critical warning about the massive government budget deficit, which occurred in the third year of the administration. Leadership figures from the private and state sectors brought forward complaints that the country could head towards serious debt crisis if the situation is left unchecked. Experts have sounded the alarm about a potential credit rating downgrade if, in this situation, if a better balance won't be achieved soon. Governor Kroll invites Remus Holstorm to celebrate British holiday. Governor Kroll reports that his efforts in maintaining stability and promote unity between the residents of the special zone is continuing successfully. As part of his latest efforts, Governor Kroll has extended an invitation to Remus Holstorm, the deputy of the National Front Party, to preside over the grand ceremony commemorating the regional holiday of the year. Fuck, that guy watered down not watered down, fucking Hitler. This day holds particular significance for the British and Golonkis communities. Governor Kroll is assuring the smooth execution of the event, has stated that all necessary preparations have been made to ensure a peaceful and inclusive celebration. However, the Minister of Interior, Elias Graf, has expressed concerns over this decision, emphasizing the potential ramifications and heightened tensions it may bring to the region. Insane bill rejected by the Assembly. Fuck. The proposed formation of the so-called autonomous zone in Persia, measured demand of the British separatists, has hit a major roadblock as the bill failed to secure approval of the esteemed Grand National Assembly of Solent. Despite the support of Justice Minister Nia Morgna and President Rain, the bill could not garner a simple majority in the parliament, effectively displaying that Solism and patriotism still lives in the good politicians of our nations. Fuck. Solis book on autonomous Persia, another failed attempt by President Ray to deceive the public. Once again, President Ray's grand promise of decentralization and local empowerment have come crashing down. The much hyped bill to establish the autonomous zone of Persia, touted as a beacon of self-governance, has met its inevitable demise in the Grand National Assembly of Sorland. You also, through this charade, President Rain and his lackeys, like Justice Minister Nia Morgna, paid support for the bill. Fuck you. I hope you die. Lesbia trade sanctions against Sorland. Yeah, whatever. Last week attempts a submarine attack on cargo ship. Just some condemnation on ship of the coast of Bangladesh, northwest Hamburg, the incident involving a Hamburg submarine targeted cargo vessel. Alright. Israel's recent correspondence reflects the country's mounting apprehension over the SP alliance and Volksland. Grand Duke Axel Reinhardt said that the historical ties of the territorial dispute between Pales and Volksland amplified the impact of this development on Pales. Grand Duke emphasized Pales' commitment to its protected national security and sovereignty. Motherfucker, motherfucker, what what territorial issues do you have with Volksland? It's all the way fucking there, dude. What the fuck? Nasser has announced a slew of trade sanctions against us, increased up to 40% of import tax on certain goods, along with the cancellation of military arms sales, medical assistance, and other economic cooperation between our countries. The sanctions came as a direct reaction to the alliance signed with Fox. Alright, whatever. Start of the day at the palace. This is bad. This is so bad. Okay. It was early in the morning after I talked with Peter. After my talk with Peter, the sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon. The Maroon Palace was empty, save for a few cleaning staff. I entered my office to find Lucian already waiting for me. Mr. President, thank you for meeting with me at this hour. I couldn't sleep anyway. Very well, I'm pleased that you chose to call me after your conversation with Mr. Vector last night, although I was already aware of his illicit relationship with Miss Suno. I figured as much. You don't know everything that goes on in the palace, after all. Lucian smiled. On its own, given Mr. Vecton's established reputation as something of a playboy, the affair is unlikely to cause much damage. However, more troubling possibility has been brought to light. A recent conversation with Mr. Hailstone, our whistleblower from Rumburg, revealed the presence of a spy within the Maroon Palace. I believe Miss Suno is our mole. She has been using her relationship with Mr. Vector to gather information. Tell me more. I can do better than that. I'll show you. Rushan reached into his coat pocket, pulled out an audio tape, and fed it into the reel to reel machine on my desk. This was recorded in the palace at 1809, on the second day of your trade visit to Vogsland. He pressed play. I heard Peter and Livia's voices. You're sure everyone's you're sure everyone's gone for the day? Relax, Liv. Nobody's working that hard with Anton off in Vogsland. Livia giggled. I heard the sound of kissing, then drinks being poured. Hmm, I'm glad you stayed behind. Did he tell you how it's going over there? Do you think there's a chance they form an alliance? As a matter of fact, yes, he and Secretary Heckel just sealed the deal. I think Anton is making the move to isolate Rumberg step by step. In the meantime, I can think of another deal that needs sealing. Lucian grimaced and switched the tape off. This is indeed cause for concern. I'm glad you agree. And that's not all. I found her resume on file, and there's a year-long gap between her finishing secretarial school and beginning her career. Normally, this would have been looked into, but Miss Soon was hired before a background check could be completed by one Peter Vector. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Livia opened it cautiously. Good morning, Miss President. Mr. Galadi, I didn't realize you're in so early. Can I get you some coffee? Close the door. Have a seat. Livia sat. She looked puzzled. Something the matter? Enough pretending your secret is out. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Livia, notions as evidence. Livia buried her face in her hands. I'm so sorry, Miss Bennet. I was foolish. Peter was so nice to me. But it's over now. Nobody ever needs to know. That's not what the president means, Miss Suno. We're referring to you being an intelligence agent for Rumberg. Livia sat upright. She looked shocked. Pardon me, Mr. Kaladi? But are you feeling all right? Don't play dumb, Livia, if that is your real name. Mr. President, I understand if you don't want to keep my job, but why smear me with outlandish accusations? Miss Suno, indulge me for a moment. What were you doing in the year of 1951? Livia's face flushed. If you must know, I was working as a cigarette girl at Porto's. It's a Lagavin saloon. I was saving up so I could afford my own place in Holsom. Here's the proprietor's number if you need to double check. She scribbled a telephone number on a piece of paper. Lucian snatched it up. But why were you asking Peter about my alliances? To tell you the truth, Mr. Rain, I was hoping to run for office myself someday. I want to make a real difference in the world, like Miss Morgana or Miss Walden. But I guess I messed that up by getting involved with Peter. Now they're all just going to say I stepped my way to the top. Wait, how do you know about that conversation? There was a loud pounding on the door. Peter barged in without waiting for an answer. He was unshaven and wore the same clothes as the night before. I came as soon as I heard the three of you were here, Anton. What the hell are you doing? I told you I had this under control. Sit down and shut up. Peter took a seat on the far end of the sofa. He looked over at Livia and noticed her troubled expression. God, why involve her? This is a mess. She did nothing wrong. Just by Peter. You messed up big time. What? I have reason to believe she's been relaying information to Romberg. Information that you leaked to her in your carelessness. Lucian rewound his tape and played it again as Peter listened, his eyes widened in disbelief. Lucian, you rat bastard! You've been bugging my office! I'm sure there's an explanation for this. Both Peter and Olivia were glaring at Lucian now. He looked unrepentant. I had noticed the vice president's behavior becoming increasingly erratic and unprofessional over the past months. I wanted to get to the root of the cause. So you wiretapped your own goddamn colleague? And for what? Have you been getting off on this, you pervert? Certainly not. I believe that along with the Ramberg whistleblower's admission that there is a spy in the palace and certain gaps in Miss Sunu's resume, this tape makes a compelling case to investigate the secretary for espionage. Whether or not the investigation yields positive results, Mr. Vectorn ought to be held accountable for his willingness to divulge such sensitive information. He ought to stand trial or at the very least resign. Peter's jaw dropped. Livia stood up. If I may, Mr. President, I'll be paying attention to what goes on in the palace, not because I'm some sort of agent, but out of genuine interest. Hard as that may be for you to believe, Mr. Galade. She scowled at Lucian, then turned back to me. And from what I've seen, this man has been attempting to undermine your vice president at every turn, perhaps with the goal of replacing Peter himself. Nonsense. Lucian's been nothing but loyal. Loyal to you, it's true. You never could stand me. Lucian frowned. My personal misgivings about Mr. Vector's aside, I would never do anything to harm this administration. Mr. Vector, on the other hand, has at best committed adultery, and at worst, delivered state secrets straight into enemy hands. Who could I believe? Lucian, can I speak to you alone for a moment? Peter, Livia, out now. I'm giving some tough love. Giving some tough love. Peter and Livia exchanged worried glances before exiting my office. What are you going to do, Mr. President? I believe you. You should investigate Livia. Lucian breathed a sigh of relief. I appreciate your trust in me. And Mr. Vector, what will you do about this willingness to compromise stolen security at the drop of a pencil skirt? I'll settle that with him personally. Very well, just keep in mind you may need him to shoulder the blame for this. Lucian adjusted his tie. I'll apologize to Miss Suno and tell her this has all been a misunderstanding. We can't have her running away during the investigation. Fine, but I'm warning you. Don't spy on your colleagues ever again. Very well, sir. Lucian gave a slight bow as he left the office. I sat by myself for a while, wondering what exactly I had set in motion. Shit is bad. Unity in Bergia. Yesterday, Governor Kroll, a special zone proudly and not radical. Racist speaker at Bloodish Holiday. In a move that has sparked widespread criticism, Governor Kroll, a special zone, had invested in Nemus Holstone, a known fascist known for his divisive and discriminatory views. The decision was raised concern among Bloodish communities and advocates for equality. Okay. Okay. Situation is fucked in Bergia. And our growth is stumped. Results of the affair scandal. Several days had passed since I ordered the investigation into my secretary Livia Suno. Both Peter and Livia had been acting unnaturally nice to me, believing I'd let them off the hook for their affair. They seemed to be avoiding each other in the hallways, though. I was just settling in behind my desk when Lucian knocked on my door. Sir, a moment of your time. Of course. Lucian entered my office and closed the door behind him. Our security team traveled to Lakaven to speak to the owners of the pub Miss Suno named. They confirmed that one Livia Suno had worked there. The description of her did not match that of our secretary. However, it matched that of an undefined corpse that washed in Denkirk Bay 2 months before your inauguration. You mean further investigation by our operatives in Rumberg matched Miss Suna's description to a woman named Ilana Vance, last seen graduating from Crimsard Political Sciences Institute. Our whistleblower from Rumberg recognized the name Vance as belonging to a deeply embedded covert agent. Excuse me, although he had previously assumed it was a man. How could we have missed all this? As mentioned, Miss Suno was hired without a background check. It's possible this all could have been avoided had any of Mr. Vector's blood flow been directed to his brain when he selected her. But none of that can be helped now. The question is, what are you going to do, sir? Arrest her for espionage, of course. That would be standard procedure. However, if you do so, it's only a matter of time before the media pieces together what happened. I look like a fool for having her under my nose this entire time. That's why you must let Mr. Victor take the fall. This is my fault as much as his. I should have suspected something. You can share the blame, but you have to prepare for your public opinion to nosedive. But please take a moment to think about this. Surfactant put you in danger by failing to order a background check on your closest personal staff. He betrayed your confidence to a woman with whom he has committed adultery. Anton, would you do the same for your so-called best friend? I No, I wouldn't. Lucian sighed. I'm your chief strategist. I have advised you on what I believe is the best strategy, but of course the ultimate decision is yours. I will shoulder the blame along with them. I'm going to do the Nasserist move. So, if I do the scapegoat thing, Peter will kill himself. And while Abdul Hakim Amr in real life tried to commit suicide multiple times, eventually succeeding after like the fourth time, the position after such a big ass scandal, which was the defeat in Six-Day War, was that Nasser will go out and blame. Said that they should shoulder the blame together. Him for being the president and Amir for being the commander of the armed forces. Amir thought that was preposterous. He refused to take any blame. The generals refused to take any blame. So Nasser said, "You know what? Fuck you. I'm taking the blame as president, and I will resign." And he went on, gave his televised resignation speech. But it only made the people. But what happened afterwards was the people were agitated and went out in large riots and protests. Well, not riots, but protests and demonstrations demanding for Nasser to return to office, which he did. And afterwards, a power struggle began between Nasser and Amir, in which Amir, knowing his time is up, started and he will be sacked with the rest of the. Well, rather no, Amir wasn't going to be like they were all going to be sacked. The whole general staff was going to be sacked and replaced. But due to the friendship between Nasser and Amir, Amir will not be tried in court. However, he will be sidelined from politics and from the military life. Amir, refusing that and having already turned the army into his own fiefdom, started preparing for a coup. Eventually, Nasser invited Amir to his home for a final confrontation. The two confronted each other. Alongside Nasser, there were others, his vice presidents and whatnot. And after a very long debate and argument, Nasser had had enough. Actually, no. During the meeting, this is interesting. During the meeting, the forces loyal to Nasser and the new minister of defense surrounded Amir's home where the officers planning the coup were meeting consistently and managed to arrest everybody involved. By the time Amir was arguing with Nasser, Amir had lost all the support behind him. He was now alone, face to face against his best friend, the closest person to him in this world. And at the end, Nasser was just exhausted of it all. He retreated upstairs in his home, laid on the sofa, and after that, Amir attempted suicide by drinking a vial of poison. The ministers rushed and grabbed him and tried to help him and take him to the hospital. When Nasser was informed, Amir survived that first attempt. But when Nasser was informed that Amir tried to commit suicide in his own home, Nasser had no reaction to this at all. He was done. I will shoulder the blame along with him. Lucian looked as if he was about to object one last time, but instead smiled thinly. Very well. I shall write a statement for you to read at the press conference. I'll leave you to handle Miss Vance. With pleasure. Lucian nodded and walked out. I called Carl Greaser from my desk and explained the situation. After a few minutes, I rang for Livia. She was in my office. Is there something you need, Mr. President? You tell me, Ilana. A barely perceptible flash of fear crossed her face. Livia, sir. My name is Livia. I nodded towards my office doorway. Carl Greaser was standing there along with two of his guards blocking the entrance. Ilana Vance, you are under arrest on suspicion of espionage. Please come with me. Her eyes darted around the room. What the hell is going on? Mr. President, you let Lucian get to your head? I thought you were smarter than that. You're going to pay for your lies, Ilana. Carl's man grabbed her arms and began dragging her out. No, no, you can't do this to me. Peter, hearing her cries, rushed out of his office. Liv, what the hell? Anton, what's going on? Her name's Ilana. Lucian was right about her. She's a spy. No, that can't be true, can it, Liv? Don't say another word without a lawyer present. She looked at Peter square in the eye. Except this. You're a sad old drunk and a lousy lay. Ooh. Honestly, if I were a Rumberg spy, I'd barely have to do a thing. You two have Solent ripe for the taking. She straightened up, ran a hand through her curls, and allowed Carl to lead her away. Peter sank to the floor in front of me. Anton, what the hell just happened? Come to my office, you're making a scene out here. Once Peter was in my office, I shut the door and explained everything Lucian had told me about Livia. And you believed him? Well, better safe than sorry, especially after what you called me. At least, we finally have this ordeal behind us. Let's get on with running the country, shall we? Actually, I have to tell you something. Yeah, what is it? Lucian wants you to resign. Peter looked up at me with an indignant expression. Of course he does, that thing. You tell him off. I did. This is as much my fault as it is yours. The administration would take the hit. That's... Wow, I can't believe you'd do that for me. We'll have some time before the news goes public. Should get our stories straight. I'm not doing this for you, I'm doing this for the sake of clarity because I am an honest fucking president. Sure, of course. I can't believe I was so careless. It's going to be a whole new me from now on, Anton, I promise. I watched him leave. A whole new Peter. Auti was right about that. National security has been breached. We are fucked. And this whole Bergia thing, I've never expected to happen before. I'm worried. Political briefing meeting. Like this all smells bad, man. I have a feeling shit will just go sour very soon. And I do mean very soon. This is bad, this is bad, this is so fucking bad. This is so very, very bad. Okay, fuck it, let's go. Political briefing meeting. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows as Lucian and I entered the white room. I sat down, Lucian remained standing. I'm afraid I won't be able to join for your meetings today, sir. The business surrounding the Livia Suno affair is taking up all of my time at the moment. He dropped a thick folder in front of me. I was hoping to go over the day's agenda with you before your cabinet members began arriving, but duty calls. He walked out. I took a look at the folder in front of me, then at the coffee carafe at the corner of the room. I walked over and poured myself a cup. I wondered when my new secretary would start work. Internal affairs was first on the list items. Lilias and Nia, along with their close staff, joined me around the table. Lilias cast an eye around the room. No new secretary yet? I hope this means Mrs. Suna's replacement is getting an extremely thorough background check. Needless to say, such an egregious breach of security should be met with harsh consequences, but you know that already. Shall we begin? Yes, please do. Mr. President, I wanted to thank you again for approving my plans for autonomous Berger. However, the Assembly denied us the possibility. The proposal only received about 90 votes. I'm sorry, but what did you expect? The Grand National Assembly did the right thing. In any case, as long as Governor Kroll retains his position, the central government can never properly decrease the tensions between our Swordish and Bloodish communities. Therefore, I cannot say that everything is going great for Bloodish rights in this country. She sighed. I hear your concerns. He nodded. We'll keep it brief. I think that will be all for our internal affairs update. They gathered their documents. See you later, Mr. President. They took their entourage and left the room. Simon came in shortly afterwards. Mr. President, where's the Vice President today? He's thinking very hard about what he did wrong. I see. Simon's expression remained unchanged as he sat down to face me. I just wanted to provide you with a few updates on the economy. You may have noticed that the government budget is in need of a boost. My ministry is therefore working on a bill that will increase the tax on tobacco products from 10 to 30%. A similar bill is being drafted to introduce 20% tax on alcohol. In addition to bringing the needed revenue, the new laws would curb excessive drinking and smoking in Sona. Interesting initiatives, but would the income we'd receive be worth the harm to Swedish businesses? Good question. The tax will only apply to products designated for export, which would mitigate the damage somewhat. Ordinary advise against this kind of thing, but with our budget dipping into the red, any measure that would reverse our deficit is worth considering. Thankfully, tourism to Solent is on the rise, so we can expect to see a healthy stream of income there. Our investment in cultural preservation paid off, it seems. Oh, I hope the increased threat of the BFF won't put a damper on that. The increased what? I'd better have a talk with Lilius. There was a knock on the door, and Gus Manger strolled in and grabbed a seat. Mr. President, Simon, some excitement around the palace lately, I've heard. This should be a lesson to everyone. Never cross me and you'll pay the price. That's how it is around here, and you adventure every day. You can say that again. Anyway, you both know how revitalizing the Gruni region has always been my pet project of sorts. Well, thanks to the office of my ministry and the funding allocated by the president, Gruni is looking stable these days. Stable? That's it? Gus shrugged. It's far from the massive surge in economic growth that I had hoped to see, but I still believe the area has a wealth of untapped potential. If we seize every possible opportunity to invest in Gruni now, we could still see positive results within our term. Alright, I'll see what I can do to help boost development there. That would be great, Mr. President. I hope it's not too late. I'll be on the lookout for further opportunities to invest in the region. In any case, I've heard that United Quintana is preparing to offer us substantial agricultural aid package. Fuck yes! Fuck yes! I'm suspicious of course, but perhaps their funding can turn Gruni around where our efforts did not. No, our alliance with Volksland is already paying off. First, you accept Contanon aid. Next, they spark an uprising against the hardworking landowners like my family. Ah, of course, Gus is a landowner. I won't deny Grooney needs the money, but there's got to be another way. The door to the White Room opened slowly, and David made his way in. Oh, hello, gentlemen. I'm early again, aren't I? Not to worry, Mr. Whiskey. We've just about wrapped things up. While we're both here, we may as well talk about the economic impact of our recent alliance. A wise idea, Mr. Hall. Our new partnership is not without its consequences. As you may recall, almost immediately after we sealed our alliance with Vogsland, Lesbia imposed strict tariffs on us in retaliation. The fallout won't impact our economy right away, but I do expect a significant hit before the end of the term. Fuck. Fortunately, I believe any short-term economic harm imparted by these tariffs will be offset by the alliance's long-term benefits. I trust your wisdom, David. I'm not fully convinced that the Voxland partnership will pay off, although the aid from the United Montana is a head start. Yes, and a sign of possible greater interest from the CSP. Simon grimaced. Hooray! We'll leave you to your meeting, gentlemen. My regards to Mr. Vectron. Have a good afternoon, Wolf. Simon and Gus rose from their seats and left the room. Huh, interesting. The Maronite patriarchy is saying Hezbollah cannot be disarmed by force, Hezbollah is Lebanese, and its martyrs are Lebanese. Now that's a change in tune. That's positive change in tune. Simon and Gus rose from their seats and left the room. After the door closed, David regarded me for a second. His blue eyes seemed to see right through me. My ministry was notified about the Rambergian infiltrator. This is a very delicate situation, Anton. I understand our relations with Ramberg were precarious enough before this. Please understand, the tensions between Sol and Ramberg have not eased, quite the contrary. As you might imagine, our decision to grant asylum to their whistleblower, Mr. Haystal, on my neck, did not sit well with the kingdom. An incident such as this might serve as a tipping point, place too much blame on Ramberg, and we may lose our chance at reconciliation. You're right as usual, the last thing we want is war now on our hands. A compromise in the name of the greater good may spare countless lives. A pair of loud, precise raps came on the door. That will be General Lancia. The further update on the Volksland Alliance. If you don't mind, I'll stay for that. Of course, David, it's always valuable having you around. As Joseph brusquely entered and took a seat facing me, he and David nodded at each other. Mr. President, Mr. Whiskey, for better or for worse, we are now in a military alliance with the Republic of Voxland. He paused as if he couldn't bring himself to go on. Finally, he continued. As I expected, the commies, Voxlandians, began asking for our assistance, particularly as soon as the ink was dry. Solon's recognition of Heliland as Volgish territory has emboldened the Republic to begin planning its invasion of the island. The War Minister has informed me that it will commence in the coming months. And what role is Solon expected to play in this invasion? Not an active one, thankfully. We are readying our forces for assistance with area reconnaissance and a naval blockade, but our troops will not set foot on the island itself. I too expected that allying with Voxland would necessitate our involvement in the Helena situation. I'm grateful that's as far as it goes. The Vogs had better not back down if it comes to war between Solon and Ramberg, that's for sure. This alliance was not my first choice either, but I do trust Vogsland to provide assistance if we're in need. While Nasser was against, regional alliances, he was for an Arab alliance. So let's pretend that this is that. They could prove to be a formidable ally indeed, and I mean like, sorta Jordan, Syria, and Egypt were in a kind of alliance against Israel, so they could provide to be a formidable ally indeed. He glanced at Yosef. If that's all, Mr. Lancy, I suggest we leave us grain to it. It's been a long morning. All right, Mr. President. He and David stood up. Hope you tear those from Bergsons a new one for installing a damn spy in your office. They'll get what's coming to them, don't worry. My ministers left. David gently closed the door behind them. Allow me to a moment of quiet once more. Fuck! High economic synergy between Gruni and Bergia. High degree of economic synergy is being observed between the regions of Gruni and Bergia. A series of strategic investments coupled with increased economic interaction have facilitated this alignment. The synergy is not only bolstering the economies of both regions, but also promising long-term growth potential and stability. Okay, my growth is okay. Persian forces stand ready to aid Volksland. United Continents covers Arcasian base in Polaris. Okay, okay, shit is fucked. CSP's growing presence felt in Holsworth. The Content Security Pact has been visibly strengthening its presence in Holsworth. A number of CSP affiliated organizations and advocacy groups have set up operations within the city, leading to increased visibility for the Alliance. The city has hosted several CSP led seminars and gatherings, and these events have been met with significant participation from local citizens, signaling a growing acceptance of CSP's influence in Holsworth. State press release on the affair scandal. Oh boy. Let's do it. It was the morning of Livia's trial, and hordes of reporters were gathered in front of the state courthouse. Peter, Lucian, and I stood by the entrance. Lucian had helped break the news to my secretary's arrest. Now the media was beginning to question exactly how a Rumberg agent had been able to infiltrate the Maroon Palace. It was time for me to deliver an explanation. A podium with a bank of microphones awaited us on the courthouse steps. Peter looked uncertain. I had told him I would be doing all the talking today. You're on your own, Mr. President. I advise you could keep your responses as brief as possible. I know that Peter took a deep breath. Nagadu stepped behind the podium. The reporters clustered around us and started shouting questions. Thank you for coming. As you're aware, Ilana Vance, the Hamburg spy who posed as my secretary, is going on trial for espionage. As you're aware, Livia Suno, former secretary to the president of. As you're aware, Ilana Vance, the Hamburg spy who posed as my secretary. Let's dissociate a little bit. As you're aware, Livia Suno, former secretary to the president of Solent, is currently being tried for espionage. As a sure number will be made to answer. As a sure security breach of this magnitude shall never happen again. Shall never happen again. However, the fact remains that she should never have been allowed to infiltrate the administration in the first place. However, the fact should remain that she should never have been allowed to infiltrate the administration in the first place. That she was able to do so and solely due to carelessness on the part of myself and Vice President Peter Vector. That she was due to carelessness on my part of myself and Vice President Peter Vector. The journalist gasped and murmured. Peter turned to face me, his mouth hanging open. This impulsive hiring practice Mr. Vector displayed a lapse in judgment, but as your president, I bear the brunt of the responsibility. Let's go with this. In his impulsive hiring practice, Mr. Vector displayed a lapse in judgment, but as your president, I bear the brunt of the responsibility. I have failed in my duty to keep this country safe and secure. I hope I can regain your trust. No, this isn't right. Sweat was beading on Peter's brow. He grabbed the closest microphone. Please don't listen to President Crane. This is all my fault. I was drunk and reckless. I broke my marriage vows. My selfishness compromised the Rain administration and all of Sorland. Tears began streaming down his face. I've been a sorry excuse for a husband and a terrible vice president. I resign. The crowd became even louder. I turned away from the microphone and looked at Peter. Thank you. I owe you this much after what I did. The reporters were now waving for us. One woman in the front row looked particularly insistent. Mr. Vector, I'll be answering all questions on the Vice President's behalf. President Rain, was Mr. Vector implying that he and the covert agent posing as President Rain's secretary were engaged in intimate relations? Yes. Can you elaborate, please? Lucian interjected. Neither the president nor the vice president will be taking any more questions. Thank you. The reporters reluctantly dispersed. Lucian, Peter, and I looked at each other for what seemed like an eternity. Finally, Peter lowered his eyes. I guess I'll go to the palace and start packing my things then. I'll come with you. Thanks, but I think I need some more time alone. I watched him descend the courthouse, steps to his car. This is the good ending for Amr. Like, dead ass. If Amr just resigned, this could have been the good ending. But it is what it is, you know. I subscribe to the idea that Amr committed suicide. He was very suicidal after his plot for a coup failed, and after his shortcomings led him to such a position. He could not handle the responsibility and tried to commit suicide multiple times, and each time his security, the security appointed by the government saved him. But eventually, he managed to pull it off. Thankfully, Peter did not take his own life this time. I watched him descend the courthouse steps to his car. Mr. Vector certainly made a scene, but it appears that he will make it out of this unscathed. Of course, there's now the matter of replacing both your secretary and your vice president. I have a few candidates in mind. Very good, sir. We walked back up the stairs to the courthouse to watch the rest of the trial. Okay. Romberg infiltrated Maroon Palace, President's secretary arrested. Breaking news from the Maroon Palace. Presidential Secretary Livia Suno has just been revealed to be a spy from Romberg. More details are forthcoming, but it appears the agent, whose real name is not yet known, managed to get past the palace staff's stringent background checks and obtain confidential information from within the Reign administration. The president has taken swift, decisive action to remove her from her position and to bring her to justice. President's secretary arrested for treason. Livia Sunu, Secretary to President Anton Rain, was arrested yesterday following an investigation that revealed her to be a covert agent from Bromberg. Her trial is scheduled to begin in the next several days. In the meantime, the question of how an enemy spy was able to infiltrate the Maroon Palace at such a high level remains. President Rain has announced he will soon be holding the press conference to address these potentially brewing scandals. I just did. VP Vectron resigns in disgrace. Peter Vectron cemented his place as the most pathetic vice president in Swedish history after revealing that he leaked sensitive government information to Anton Ray's secretary, now known to be a Ramberg spy. After Rain attempted to blame himself for the leak, Vectron tearfully assumed full responsibility and implicated himself in multiple extramarital affairs before resigning from his position. May we suggest Rain appoint a woman as VP this time around? Selection of a new vice president. It was here the day I'd been dreading since Peter's resignation. At the entrance to my office, my new secretary Sylvia took my hat and coat. She was a matronly woman in her 40s. She had a spotless background, assisting various Maroon Pass officials. What's matronly? What's matronly? Let's Google that. Matronly meaning. Denoting relating to characteristic of staid and conservatively dressed older married woman, especially one with somewhat heavy build. Alright. Replacing Livia had been easy, but replacing my vice president would be difficult. Swedish law dictated that if a vice president failed to complete his term, new candidates were to be put forward by the members of the cabinet. As much deliberation, the list had been narrowed down to three. Lucian Galade was the frontrunner, followed by Gloria Tori, Narbon, Clavin. It was up to me to decide who would fill Peter's shoes. I wanted to chat with them one-on-one before making my decision. I had just begun to settle at my desk when I heard a knock at the door. Lucian entered and perched on the chair across from me. Sir, you know why you are here. I do. In my current capacity as Chief Strategist, I have evaluated the experience and capabilities of your potential vice presidents. Objectively, I am by far the most qualified candidate. I would advise you not only to think about our long history together, but also the many crises I have helped shepherd you through. I won't say much beyond that. I believe my work speaks for itself. You're such a valuable strategist. I don't know if I can afford to lose you in that capacity. As vice president, my ability to serve you and this administration will only increase. Lucian got up from his chair. I expect you will make the right decision. He left my office just a minute later. There was another knock at the door and Gloria Tori came in. Mr. President, I must say I was not surprised at all when my name was put forward. You seem confident? I am, Mr. President. To put it simply, what I bring to the table is years of experience. I've been a member of the Assembly for almost 20 years, and I spent 7 years as its Speaker. This alone speaks for itself. And as you know, I am also the spokesperson of the party, as well as the leader of the Conservative wing. You can see what I'm getting at. Become the Vice President, and I get the votes from the Conservatives. Precisely. This would allow us to pass bills far more easily, especially if those bills are aligned to my bloc's causes. I think I will think about it. I want you to know that I value order over everything else, Mr. President. Being the Speaker of the Assembly requires principles, nerves like steel, and determination to uphold proper conduct. You can expect to see the same of my Vice Presidency. Being a woman could also prove advantages. Not just any woman, a strong woman was able to protect order in a room full of unruly men for 7 years. Think about the message it would send. First woman vice president of Sorland. No, first woman vice president in the whole continent. What support you would lose among traditionalists, you would gain tenfold among Swedish women. There is much to gain from selecting me, Mr. President. I believe you will make the right choice. You are right, there is much to gain. I will consider it. I knew you would see reason. I wish you a nice day, Mr. President. Gloria made her way out. A minute later, there was another knock at the door. This time it was Alban Cleven's turn. Greetings, Mr. President. It's a great honor to have been chosen as a candidate. Really terrific. Let's talk. As you know, I represent the reformist wing of the party. What Solent needs today is not only to catch up to our more modern neighbors, but to surpass them. I believe we can do that. No, I am sure. However, this will only be possible if we set aside our differences and unite as one. That is the outlook I wish to bring to the position of Vice President, so that Solent can excel and soar to new heights. Finalist, I like it. Thank you. The fact is, if I am the Vice President, the reformist members of our party will be more likely to support you and your causes. This will smooth the passage of bills and help move our administration and our country forward in record time. That makes sense. And now that this country needs is more dynamic, youthful leadership. Look at you, President Train. You became the youngest member of the Assembly and completely rejuvenated Swedish politics. I want to do the same. We need to be able to take risks, to make gains that is only possible with a forward-looking perspective. There, I have stated my case. I trust your judgment. Thank you. I will consider what you said. Thank you, Mr. President. Alban got up and left. I leaned back in my chair thinking about the pros and cons of each of my vice president's candidates. I could almost hear Peter's voice in my head, laughing at the absurdity of my situation. But of course, he wasn't there. Alright, I want to Google something. Oh, I see a tint of growth. Yeah, it's not completely stale. I do want to look at something. Pros of appointing Galade as the VP Suzerain. Okay. Okay, let's treat that a bit. I just want to weigh the pros and the cons in here. Because our our dear strategist will fuck with us later on and support us graph in the party elections. If the internet is not so good, the internet connection is not so good. You know what? I think I'll go with Lucian because he can be a fuckword. I was sitting in my office and I need someone like him on my side. I was sitting in my office. I looked at the clock. 2:26 p.m. It was almost time for my appointment with Ciara on women's rights. There was a knock on the door. Ciara entered the room with folders in her hand. The door did not close behind her. Monica entered the room and stood next to Ciara. Mr. President, Anton, before we start, I just wanted to thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I've been dreaming about this ever since I volunteered with the Social League of Women. I can't believe the moment's finally here. I think both of you together could finally bring change to Solent. I hope you're right. Sarah sat down on a chair and laid down the folder she was holding. We still have a long way to go before Solish women are able to enjoy the same rights and privileges as men, or even as their counterparts in Arcadia and United Quintana, who've been lagging behind on this for decades, Anton. And this isn't only a moral issue. I have seen enough evolution in this world to understand the main driver of any change. Money. She flipped a folder open and started pulling out documents. United Quintana law dictates that women earn the same wages as men in their respective fields. My research shows that this led to a 15.5% increase in productivity. You could say this had direct influence on their superpower status. Arcadia passed laws ensuring maternity leave rights, child daycare centers, and tax deductions for working families. In return, they experienced a 12.6% productivity boost and a flourishing economy. Both countries also have significantly lower infant mortality rates, as statistics I believe is directly linked to the improved status of women. Our administration has successfully managed to pull Solent back from the brink of economic ruin. She leaned back in her chair. I mean, the graph is a little bit of an asshole to me, but whatever. So I'm asking, why stop there? Why not improve our economy and modernize our society at the same time? It's only logical. Monica handed me one of the documents. It had a list of bullet points on it. The two of us talked it over, and these are the measures we believe are more urgently needed. I let my eyes wander down the list. Criminalizing domestic violence. I shouldn't have to tell you how crucial this is. It is utterly unbelievable that, in this day and age, Swedish men are legally allowed to beat their wives. I agree, it's a travesty. I'm happy we're on the same page. As incidences are especially high within blooded communities, I would also advocate for setting up a special domestic violence task force in collaboration with Bloodish women's rights organizations. Monica looked at her strangely. Are you sure that's something we ought to focus on? The Bloods are different. They have their own rules. Monica, I'm surprised at you. We can't let women suffer under the patriarchy, no matter their ethnicity. The Bloods must conform to Swedish law. We can discuss the particulars once the law has passed. Support for working mothers. Ciara nodded. It simply isn't fair that women in the workforce are punished for having children. Remember what I had told you about Janice, my friend who basically got fired for becoming pregnant? That would never happen to a man. Paid maternity leave and state subsidized daycare centers could be key to keeping more mothers employed. It's true, having children never hindered my career prospects. It shouldn't hinder a woman either. Exactly. Moving on. Equal treatment in the workforce. That's an easy one. Right now, Solent has one of the continent's largest pay gaps between men and women. We need legislation ensuring that a woman doing the same job as a man is paid the same wage. We would also introduce quotas to get more women into positions of power in the assembly, for instance, and on the boards of corporations. Eventually, narrowing the pay gap is a far more pressing issue, as it would bring financial independence to countless lower income women. Ciara, we never talked about this, but I always thought that with more women in power, higher status for all women would naturally follow. Women are starving because they don't make a living wage. That's a damn sight more important than your friend Janice being passed over for a promotion. I don't see a problem with quotas initially. Once change has truly happened, quotas must be done with. I understand that quotas can be important. I mean, hell, if I had it my way, I'd do the Nasserist thing and make a 50% and make like a 60% quota that, or like a quota. I don't think it was 60%, but like a quota for the amount of workers and farmers that should make up the National Assembly or the People's Council or whatever you want to call it, or the People's Assembly. I see a problem with quotas. Protecting the pay gap is much more urgent. Monica gritted her teeth. Thank you, Mr. President. Gender equality in public education. Ciara grinned. You know how much this means to me, and you've witnessed the dangers firsthand. The way girls are shut out of a real education unless their parents have the means to get them out of the public school system. So many bright minds are being lost. I wouldn't entirely demean the old system, Ciara. Tina still loves her handicrafts classes. I'm not saying we'll take those away. Maybe boys should learn handicrafts too. Monica burst out laughing. Imagine Frank in an apron. We've had this conversation, Ciara. I'm entirely on your side. I think boys should learn how to cook and like no, they should learn life skills, like things to keep them alive. It is very important. I mean, me personally, I like to play a more active role in the household when it comes to keeping things maintained. And cooking is therapeutic to me. I'm not very good at it, but it makes me feel at ease and good and relaxed. And a matter of fact, before the war, I used to cook a lot, but after the war, I barely cooked anything, like once or twice. It's rather sad. Good, then we see eye to eye on the matter. That covers all subjects. What are your thoughts so far? You've made a good case for all these changes. Thank you. If we can pull this off before the elections, the Rain administration will make history. Let's talk about how to proceed. I want to establish a commission for women's rights in Solent with me as its head. Our goal shall be passing and implementing a set of laws to solve problems we just discussed. As a commission spokeswoman, my responsibility will be to make speeches and organize fundraisers. I will be the face of the movement while Ciara handles the groundwork. If I can show that the First Lady is behind this movement, many women will feel encouraged. Ciara gestured down at her outfit. Especially those who aren't keen on pantsuits. The organization's name will be Commission on the Status of Women. It's going to be damn hard getting the laws past the assembly. I know, but even a watered down version would be better than nothing. One more thing to consider before making your decision. This could help silence any of the public's lingering questions regarding your former vice president and the Sylvia Suno affair. Monica lowered her voice. Anton, I'm not completely naive. I know what you're proposing would have its downsides. But every time I look at our daughter, I think about how I'd do anything to grant her a better future. I know you would too, just like you told me all those years ago. I hope you'll make this right decision. We both do. Ciara was looking studiously at that scratch on my desk. She blinked and turned back to us. That's right, Mr. President. They rose from their seats expectantly. I took a few minutes to think. I approve the creation of the commission and support your bill in the assembly. Monica turned to her. That's that's all the excitement you can muster? You did it! We did it! Monica hugged Ciara. She smiled comfortably. It's not over yet, Monica. True battle is in the assembly. We'll celebrate once that's over with. I'll start gathering names for the commission tonight. Ciara started collecting her documents. She and Monica headed towards the door. Monica paused before leaving. I love you, Anton. I'll see you at home. I could hear Monica and Ciara talking excitedly to each other as the door closed behind them. I looked out my window over the city of Holsthorne. It was a clear day outside. Swedish League of Women donation. The Swedish League of Women have requested private donation from the president. I shall donate. Rain makes donations to Swedish League of Women. Anton Rain donates to support women. Will policies follow? Is it femme washing or the real deal? Fuck off. I don't want to read this. Vice President selection. I will pick Lucian. Start of the day at the palace. Lucian and I were on our way to my office. I was holding a mug of coffee in one hand and a folder of various documents in the other. As we turned a corner, Lucian spoke. The Ashraf anniversary is coming up soon, the most important day of the Bloodish populace. Watani Ashraf is one of their symbols, as you know. Watani Ashraf it could be like my homeland is the most honorable in Arabic. Your presence at this event would show your desire for a more unified soul, and you will reap the benefits if you decide to go there, I'm sure. I want to cause further division amongst you are right. Lucian nodded. We rounded another corner to reach the last corridor leading to my office. Lucian suddenly stopped in front of one of the doors. The plaque that once said Vice President Peter Vector had been removed. The door was halfway open, and I could see workers moving boxes around the room. One of them saw us, bowed his head, and changed the name tag on the door to Vice President Lucian Galad. Another handyman dropped a heavy hooking box on the desk. A crunching sound was heard from within. Be careful with that, Mr. President. This move requires my personal attention. We shall discuss the Ashraf matter later. It's good to have you as my Vice President, Lucian. And I am glad to have you as my President, sir. I entered the office and asked Sylvia for a second cup of coffee to wake me up. Another long day was waiting for me. The connections have been updated. Now Lucian is both my vice president and chief strategist. Lucian Galadi rises to the task. Lucian Galadi is the vice president. It is official. Lucian Galadi is the new vice president of Solent. Looking at this pic objectively, I can catch myself thinking that honestly, we all saw this coming. The man was working alongside Mr. Dre for years. He is somewhat of a shadowy figure. Uh, as not much is known about his past, apart from his successes to rise up to this point. Regardless, looking at his famed track record, we can say this certainly that Mr. Galati will be much better than the vice president than Peter Vector. Mediation of a dispute on the gendarmerie. Gendarmerie. Oh la la. The gendarmerie are sort of like the police. Like they're the Darak. Darak are sort of police. Mediation on dispute with the gendarmerie. I arrived in the city of Vesord with my new vice president Lucian after receiving an emergency meeting request from Iosif and Lilias. I had seen the reports of a recent issue that rose between the Swedish police force and the gendarmerie units at the city. The report said that an operation against a drug trafficking gang in Visord failed due to miscommunication. It was not hard to guess what this meeting was going to be about. We entered the city hall and made our way to the second floor. I could hear Josef and Lilia's voices echoing through the hall. He opened the doors to the meeting room. The two ministers did not even realize. This is unacceptable. How dare the police meddle in the affairs of the gendarmerie? It was your men who started this ridiculousness and meddle with an ongoing police investigation. Their voices are getting louder and louder. Rural security is my jurisdiction, and your men were way outside of Vesord. Mr. Lancia, Miss Graff, please remain calm. What is the problem? Mr. President, Mr. Ga- Mr. Vice President, apologies, but Miss Graff here fails to understand her place. No, Mr. Lancia, you are the one who does not understand his place. If you continue to do so, you will pay for it one day. I slammed the table, which shocked the ministers. They fell silent. Diaz explained what happened. Mr. Greaser was tasked with the investigation of a drug trafficking ring in downtown Vesord. We found the evidence of a drug stash located in the outskirts of the city. We had to act quickly to put an end to the criminals we have been watching for some time. So we immediately sent our police units to catch them to find the drugs in the compound. Mr. Lancia and his gendarmerie did not notify us that they were also moving against the same target. As a result, criminals got away and we lost months of progress. Isn't there a line of communication between you? There is, but the Minister of Defense decided to avoid notifying the police department about the planned raid. The same could be said about you because the report showed that you knew about the gang and their stash in the countryside. I started tapping on the table with my fingers. How do we solve this issue so that it never happens again? I think this was the last drop. Internal security matters should be handed to the Ministry of Interior completely. We are called the Ministry of Interior for a reason. We can't let any more screw-ups like this happen again. She looked at me. I want gendarmerie to be transferred to the Ministry of Interior. What? Woman, are you out of your mind? Yosef turned red with anger. He composed himself after a moment. Looking at it from the perspective of improving our internal security, I agree with Miss Graff. You would reap the benefits in the long run. Look, Mr. Galati, I know you are new to this and there is much that you were not briefed about, but Mr. Lancia, you are forgetting who I am. Ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I don't hand over gendarmerie. I won't hand over gendarmerie to her. Out of the question. Do you have a better solution, Yosef? Whenever operations overlap, we should engage at a lower rank with the local officers on both sides. We could work on establishing that, but it still doesn't change the wrong system that exists now. I want to remind you about your promise, Mr. Rain. Yes, but my decision hasn't been made yet. I sure hope that you will keep your word. What promise? Now I see that's going on here. Enlighten us. What is going on here, Yosef? Lilia set us up to create this incident. Lilia bit her lips. What proof do you have? There is no way that the police has arrived at the night time of a month-long research search on the exact day and minute of the gendarmerie raid. Let us take it down a notch with the accusations. This kind of accusation is unheard of. It's nonsense. If I were you, I wouldn't believe a word Mr. Lancia says, Mr. President. Heed my word, Mr. President. When dealing with these situations, you need to always to look at who gets what out of it. I won't stand idle by these utterly ridiculous and baseless accusations. I don't have time for this. What is your decision? You know, Graf is a bitch. She's a snake in the grass. But I do agree, gendarmerie should be with the Ministry of Interior. You are making a mistake. Thank you for being a man of your word. It was the right call to establish a modern internal security structure. There are bigger issues at hand that need attention. Focus on them instead of each other. We will do our best, right, Miss Valencia? That's right, Mrs. Graff. Left the room to attend to my next scheduled meeting. Sheesh. Ministry of Interior is strengthened. Alright. Gendarmerie transferred to the Interior Anti-Corruption Police investigate Lothar Group. President Train's new Anti-Corruption Police is continuing its investigation into the Lothar Group, and our sources say that Nia Mogna-led force has discovered a treasure trove of evidence against both former Solan Today publisher Marcel Coranti, top oligarch Walter Tusk. Though no arrests have been made, we can tell you that illegal weapons smuggling and drug cartel money laundering may be involved. Oh boy, alright, now we will prevent them from running away with my money. The anti-corruption police are continuing its second show. The oligarchs and few leads have been uncovered, revealing Golden Tusk and Mascarone's involvement in illegal dealings with suspected arms smuggling and money laundering. These will be duly followed up upon. Alright, briefing on the current healthcare situation. Let's go. I had a meeting scheduled with Pascal to receive the annual healthcare report. He arrived at my office with stacks of papers and underneath both arms. Mr. President, he put the mountain of papers on my desk. It made a loud thud sound. I know this seems like a lot. Reviewing it shouldn't take more than a day. He measured the pile again. Or maybe two. That sounds just great. They contain very important information about the status of our healthcare. Salaries, expenditures, hospital reports, whatever you like. We can go through this together. Okay, let's begin. Continued. But I don't want to bore you, so I will quickly summarize. I breathed a sigh of relief as he put on his reading glasses to look at the documents he was holding. So, we have concluded our report for the year. Thanks to the allocated funds, we have improved the healthcare in the country overall. I have used the resources to begin a comprehensive health reform. We have more patients treated, less waiting times, and higher treatment quality than the years before. That's great to hear. Thank you for your hard work, Pascal. This wouldn't be possible without your wise decision, Mr. President, so thank you. We are certainly on the right path to challenge even Lesbia or Voxland in the matter, but we are not there yet. However, give it a few more years and we might even surpass them. We need to get to the level of superpowers. It will take effort, however, if we can stay for another term, I'm sure we will. Moving on. Pascal skimmed the rest of the document before putting it down. The investments we poured into our rural health facilities has paid off greatly. The quality of care increased due to the upgraded equipment, and we were able to hire more healthcare staff. Excellent. People on the countryside deserve better health services. Yes, they have been neglected for a long time due to political reasons. Not anymore. All these efforts have resulted in a clear increase of quality in health services provided to our citizens. He cleared his throat. Now that I have given you the short summary, there is a very important matter to discuss. And now it's midnight, so I need to fix the electricity. And back. There is a very important matter to discuss. Leaning over to grab his briefcase, he pulled out a tan colored package. The package was stamped with the big red letters that read confidential. Pascal opened the package and brought out a few documents, handing them over to me. I'll take a look. It was a report from the Ministry of Health. Each page had a stamp on it that read for the President's eyes only. The report was titled Polio Outbreak in Bergia. How bad is it? For now, it seems to be under control. We have put a few villages under quarantine. The total number of infected is currently 1467. Death toll is at 23 so far. If we have more outbreaks, the results will be terrible. Thankfully, we have received the additional funding for our healthcare. This should curb the infected ratio, although I am afraid even that might not be enough. This is a very serious matter, Mr. President. The lives of Solish citizens are at stake. I'll do whatever it takes to eliminate this threat. With that attitude, I have no doubt that we will succeed. We have done our research. There's a cure, a vaccine was recently invented in Quintana, and the formula has been made available for free across the entire world. No matter what people think about United Quintana, if the same thing had happened in Arcadia, we would be paying a steep price for it. Thanks to the very good decision made by you to increase funding for our healthcare, we have the capability to produce this vaccine locally. But I'm afraid simply having the vaccines won't help. We need to make sure they are administered. We need to implement a nationwide mandatory polio vaccination policy. With your order, I can immediately get to work to ensure we are doing whatever it takes. This might seem excessive, however, it is absolutely necessary. Whatever it takes to protect Solon, do it. This was released during COVID-19 era in 2020, so go figure, of course it will have a pandemic. Whatever it takes to protect Solon, do it. Excellent. Now, if you will excuse me, I must get to work immediately. He got up from his seat. Thank you for your time, Mr. President. He left my office, leaving me alone with a lot of paperwork to go through. Epidemic prevented. I am really, really loving. I am very happy with this. Volcanic power, Yarktralis harness advanced energy solutions. Okay, that's cool. Good on them. Aging citizens quit their jobs in Morna. In Morna, a wave of retirements among aging citizens working in demanding industrial roles is reshaping the city's labor market. After long careers, the seniors are filling paperwork to initiate their well-earned pension plans. Although this development has caused a temporary uptick in unemployment rates, it also unsealed a reservoir of job opportunities. This transition presents an exciting window for the city's younger workforce to step up and meet the labor demand, injecting fresh energy into Mona's industrial scene. Good. Free medicine. Citizens in Estwood have received their first completely free prescription medicine. Some cancer and diabetes patients have expressed how much the measures relieve their finances. Poor family gave an interview thanking the presidency for allowing their parents to live. It is reported that the measures have been successful around the country as well. Fuck yeah! I am a man of the people. Oh, there's a lot of things to do. Less smoke bill. The Assembly passed an amendment to the tax bill of 1944 in order to increase tax revenue and reduce the excessive amount of tobacco consumption in the general populace. Section 1 of the TB of 44, which had imposed a 10% tax on all tobacco packages, will be increased to 30% of all tobacco products sold in the country. Section 2 will protect local industries by giving them a full tax exemption in the products that are destined for export to other countries. I'm fucking signing. I need the money. Ah, shit. The growth is bad. Wow, tobacco consumption reduced. Hooray! Time to smoke less and smoke taxed. The Fair Trade Commission has opened in whole store today and began coordinating with the central bank, the National Business Council, and the Ministry of Economy to get an analysis of the competition issues, social regulation legislation. The efforts to bring fairness to trade and commerce in Solent is led by a visionary small business owner who sued Heart of Solent in an unfair competition bid and won in court. Cool. Healthcare spending. There is a significant budget left in the Ministry of Health that we can spend on several different programs in order to improve healthcare in Solent further. Funds could be used to create a medical scholarship, build a state-of-the-art medical school, give free eye tests or dental care. Let's build a state-of-the-art medical school. Yep, it's all green, it's all great. I'm great at this. I'm great at this. Health department to fund new medical school. Meeting with the family. As I stepped through the front door of our Saji residence, a sense of tranquility washed over me. The house was quiet, almost too quiet without Frank blasting his music from upstairs. I entered the grand study and let the warm glow of the room envelop me. Monica was sitting by the fireplace with a very old looking book in her hands. What are you reading? Oh, I didn't realize you were home. I took some books from the presidential library. This one in particular caught my eye. Showed me the book that she was holding. I didn't recognize the author, but the name definitely sounded Valgish. It's about the woman's struggle in post-revolution Volksland and its breakaway states. That actually sounds like a great read. It is, especially the part about Galmland and the Empire's former Rican colonies. I had no idea the women there managed to organize so well and so early. It's very inspiring, actually. But anyway, is everything really going well at work? Especially after everything that happened with Peter. I'll be honest, the palace feels a lot more uncomfortable and intimidating without him around. I understand, but honestly, maybe it was for the best in the end. Thanks to you, I was just about the only woman at the university he didn't go after. But I saw the way he was, and how he continued to be. Truth is, that man has always been a bad influence on you. I don't think he should be forgiven after what he did. He wasn't forgiven by me or anyone else. Yeah, let's also go with this Nasser's stance. It's gonna be a mixed bag. I know, she sighed. I don't know, Anton. All this seems to have put you under a massive amount of stress. Maybe you can make some time for a little getaway. We can have a weekend retreat out in the countryside. What do you think? This should sound marvelous, Monica. Let's make the arrangements. Great! She grinned. Just then, we heard the patter of small feet approaching the study. Dina appeared by the door with a piece of folded paper clutched in her hand. Mama, Papa, my school report came in. Monica and I immediately turned our attention to her, our curiosity piqued. That's my girl, I can't wait to hear about it. Dina unfolded the paper and gave it to me. I was so close to the top of the class. I heard a mix of pride and disappointment in her voice. It's incredible, Tina. You've worked hard and it shows. Tina smiled. You did great, darling. We're so proud of you. She knelt down and gathered Dina into her arms. I know, but I still kind of still feel. I know, well, but I feel, but I still feel kind of sad. I forgot I need to do the Mario voice. I'm sure I would have been at the top if I've done better in handicrafts, but those classes are so boring. And then there's that stupid blonde boy Marcos. He never even studies, but the teachers always give him higher grades than everyone else. Don't call him stupid, baby. Who is this Marcus? I told you about him, Mommy. Marcos Clavin, the one who can't even do basic math, remember? Wait, did you just say Clavin? Yes, that's his last name. Interesting. Do you know him? Actually, I may know his father. Really? His father came into the school a couple of times and shouted at the teachers. Are you serious, sweetie? Are you serious, sweetie? Oh, why wouldn't I be? Isn't that the one who challenged you for USP candidacy, Anton? Why is your party still filled with men like this? Yes, that's him, alright. Great. Anyway, are you hungry? I didn't cook today, but the chef prepared a wonderful Rizian meal for us. Yes! Great, I'm starving. Excuse me. Me too, let's eat. I mean, I could say he couldn't have prepared something soldiers, but like, whatever. Like, we are more family men than arguing over small things, like soldier dishes. She grabbed Dina's hand and we walked to the kitchen together. Support Ashraf anniversary. Question to support this remembrance rally of the Ashraf anniversary is about to begin in Erzaren. The Bloodish movement is holding their largest rally yet to display their demands and strength. Due to the activity of the BFF in the area, the security detail advised to take caution. The administration can go to Erzaren to support the event with or without an armored convoy or to attend to support. I will not go with a fucking convoy. Oh, and we are growing. So the country is facing like it's sometimes growing, sometimes stagnating, but it's not the end of the world. Solidarity for Watani Ashram's anniversary. On our way to Erzaren, we stopped in there to meet with the governor of Berge, Herbert Kroll, to discuss the security situation within the special zone. He wished us luck at the event and told us to be extremely careful before bidding us farewell. After a few hours' drive, we finally arrived in the ancient walled city of Erzaren. The city had been of particular importance to the British people, even ever since the Islam incident. The death of Watani Ashraf were 2 decades ago. Today, we were here to commemorate the anniversary of those events. The ceremonies were to be held in the aptly named Islam Square, several blocks away from Lake Sol and the sunken ruins of the village of Islam. We entered the historic center in the presidential Cadillac. The streets were littered with broken glass and the walls defaced with graffiti, a sense of heavy regional police presence. Our convoy could barely fit through the narrow streets, disrupting local traffic and creating noisy chaos in the usually tranquil city. Pedestrians stared at us with concern as we and our security forces drove towards the square. I must say this was a good decision, sir. This will help ease tensions. That was my intention all along. As expected. We're almost there. I can hear the crowd. I heard the chants and shouting from outside. Lucian leaned closer to the window, listened to their voices. They are telling us to go back where we came from. A large crowd had assembled in the square. There were probably at least 10,000 people. Most of them were yelling insults and obscenities at me. As our convoy slowed down, a young British man ran in front of our vehicle and spat on my window. Do not do anything. I did not do anything. Our vehicle came to a stop. I noticed an excessively high amount of visual police as well as the gendarmerie and local police. They formed a human barricade around the square, staring intimidatingly at the crowd. Must be the governor's doing. My driver exited the vehicle and opened the door for me. We were greeted by Monsoon Leke. He wore a coat over his suit, which was marked with the red and turquoise stripes of the Bloodish Movement's flag. He moved towards us. He moved forward to greet us. Welcome to Irzarin, Mr. President. Okay, I'm not trying to do an accent. I'm trying to speak like Bernie Sanders does because in my mind, Mansour Leke speaks like Bernie Sanders. But I see that I am failing at that, so I will not do it again. I held our clasped hands up so that the crowd could see them. Her shouts and blood come from the crowd. From the crowd. He pointed at the gendarmerie's forces. I am not sure how bringing your army will help. It's the governor's doing. The man who abused the authority to oppress Persia. We're trying our best to contain him, but without changing the laws, there's nothing I can do about it. He clenched his jaw. Mr. Leckie. Mr. Galadi, welcome. Shall we move to the sanctuary then? Let's go. We made our way to the Erzarin sanctuary, which stood at the end of the square. A much smaller replica of the sanctuary in Deir. The ancient building had a mystical aura emanating from its blackened walls. We entered the building through the ornamented large metal gates. As we walked the noise of the crowd faded out. Everyone fell silent for the ceremony. Thousands of candles were burning inside the sanctuary, one for each person that died in Islam. The red candle in the center was for Watani Ashraf. Mansoon gestured towards the candles. Pick up the red candle. I picked up the red candle for Watani Ashraf. We also picked up a candle and started walking out. Many others followed suit, including us. The atmosphere outside had completely changed. Not a single noise came from the crowd. We slowly walked towards the Ashraf's grave. On the way, hundreds of people joined us. Seeing the red candle in my hand, some people started shouting at me, breaking the silence. One man managed to break the security cordon and towards me, screaming, Don't defile Ashraf's spirit, you racist dog! Take your hands off that candle! Before he could get to me, security forces grabbed the man and dragged him away. Mansoon looked at me with a mix of fear and anger in his eyes. He knew better than to speak. When we arrived, he pointed at a huge standing torch above the grave. Light the torch together with Mansoon. We lit the torch together. I turned around and realized the sheer amount of people who were following us. They were all looking at me, waiting to hear what I should say. Brothers and sisters, we are here to mourn Watani Ashraf and many others who have lost their lives. I'm not standing before you today as the president, I'm standing here as one of you. I share your hatred and anger. I feel it too, I assure you. Like a red hot iron, it takes a long time for it to cool. But I look at the lives lost and think, what would they want? An old man from the crowd yelled, Revenge! To what end? We need to break this vicious cycle of violence and vengeance for a better future. Let me tell you one thing. I dream of a truly united Solent, a country where being a blood or a soul does not matter. I feel responsible and ashamed for the action of my predecessor. Most of all, I feel the desperation to remove this black mark from our history. I need help from each and every one of you to make this country a better place for everyone. To our unity! There was no reaction from the crowd, only silence. Massoud leaned in closer to me. Mr. President, that was a good speech. I hope the crowd thinks the same. He extended his hand to me for a handshake. Instead of going for the handshake, I spread my arms and hugged him. Suddenly, the whole crowd erupted in applause. Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know if any of this really makes a difference after what you have done against the Bloodish people. Still, you came here to Er Zaren for the anniversary of the Islam incident. That is a good start. Russian rushed over to me. Sir, it's time to go. We started making our way back to the convoy. Well done, sir. This will prove very useful in the upcoming elections. Not everything is about votes. It's not? We entered our vehicles and started making our way back home from Er Zaren. Brotherhood of the People. President Ray surprised the country with his attendance of the Ashraf anniversary. He joined the visual alongside Mansour Leki on the day Solent remembers Watani Ashraf. He has delivered a heartfelt speech that resonates among the crowd. We hope that his words won't just stay as words. Long live Brotherhood of the People. Briefing on the current political situation. I'll check it in a moment. Hold on a moment. I'm resolving a little dispute. Okay. Shit should work out, hopefully. Briefing on the current political situation. I walked to the White Room with a cup of coffee in my hand. My vice president has scheduled a meeting on the current political situation. I opened the door and entered the room. Lucian immediately stood up. Good morning, sir. Good morning. I wanted to provide you with some quick updates on the current political situation. He pulled out a few documents from a briefcase and laid them on the table. To begin with, the changes to the USP manifesto have caused quite a stir among the party members. An alarming number of MPs have decided to quit the USP, 26 from the conservative wing, 13 from the reformist side. Their places have been filled with people more aligned with the new manifesto. What do you think about it? The manifesto was never going to please everyone. We can only hope the gains among socialists will make up for this. He closed the folder and put away the documents. Moving on. Next, it's time to talk about our election prospects. Lucian took out a new set of documents. I caught a glimpse of colorful charts and graphs. I've just received the results of a voter poll commissioned by Peter Vector shortly before his departure. To put it in plain language, your results are mediocre. We shouldn't take it for granted that we'll win this election. I never took it for granted. We still have a year to gain more votes, but we've got to think strategically. Fortunately, your new vice president also happens to be an excellent strategist. Go on, Lucian. Lucian shuffled some pages around. Looking at the demographics of the voters polled, you've fallen out of favor with conservatives. Less than half of them are likely to vote for you. The liberal base appears divided, but you do have a considerable number of supporters there. Better or for worse, you certainly aren't popular with nationalists. If you ever had any support from socialists, you've completely lost it. Now, why? And surprisingly, none of the British poll respondents said they were planning on voting for you. Lastly, we're polling a big share of the centrist and unaffiliated vote. So what do you suggest? Lucian smiled and bowed his head slightly. Thank you, Mr. President. This may sound like common sense, but a convincing enough campaign can succeed where policies fail. Even if you've opted not to focus on your campaign at the moment, I'd still advise you to seize every chance for exposure that you can. I'll take that into account. Good. On another note, there is a not insignificant portion of undecided voters who don't care who occupies the maroon palace as long as the economy is running smoothly. A robust economy such as the one we have now could make up for a multitude of unpopular policies. So on Simon then. Partly, yes. Our country seems to be stable so far, but we should avoid further crisis if we want to come out of this term strong. There is one last thing you should know about. He looked over the door to make sure it was closed. I have reason to suspect that Leah's Graf will attempt to challenge you for USB leadership. How do you know? I've merely been keeping my ear to the ground, as always. At any rate, if my suspicions are true, you will need as many allies within the party as possible. Please keep this close to your chest, sir. You know how much power Miss Graf wields in these halls. Any other advice? That was everything on my end. We the two of us make a good team, don't we? Lucian smiled. I left the room to attend to my next meeting. Lilias the bitch, who would have thought? Polio disease is controlled inside the Bergia region. Ministry of Health has submitted a heartening report that states that the polio disease is controlled inside the Bergia region. They say that we had flattened the curve of infection within Bergia region, and with the mandatory vaccine, it will be hard for the disease to spread into other regions within the country. Government imposed mandatory vaccine policy. The president decides the action stops polio in its tracks. Okay. Right, Montana offers agricultural investment aid. Foreign Minister Adsin Nahuat of United Montana, backed by Chairman Leon Melaniev, has presented an expansive agricultural aid proposed to Sorland. This comprehensive package includes substantial financial investments, logistical assistance, and advanced farm equipment in Volga's agricultural sector. Echoing the ambitious vision of Minister Hall and Manger, The Contana proposal dovetails with Solon's industrial expansion plan, signaling a new era of agricultural prosperity. Accept the agricultural industry investment aid. United Contana fuels growth in Falcon's agricultural industry. Falcon's agricultural industry is experiencing a robust expansion significantly aided by substantial investments from United Contana. This foreign capital is fueling advancements in agricultural practices and technology, leading to increased production capabilities. Such support is not only bolstering the local economy but also improving the positioning of Falcon as a crucial player in Solon's food security framework. Agricultural industry expansion program. There's a Rust Belt and Lauren industry expansion. A large expansion program. Mr. Hall and Magner have prepared a massive industrial expansion plan that could support several key industries in the country. Through state investments, Solan could become much more competitive and a hub for new industries within this initiative. I'll expand the automotive industry. I'll expand the electronics industry. You gotta spend money to make money. Electronics industry boom in Gelsort. Gelsort's electronics industry is witnessing a remarkable growth phase. Its increased production capacity and innovative technologies are driving the sector's boom, contributing substantially to the local economy. With its reputation as an emerging hub for electronics, Gelsort stands poised for continued economic growth. Electronics powerhouse, Gelsort lights up Solon's future, contain an aid a new era for Vagan and Gruni. A boon or a burden for Vagan's agriculture, government dedicates investment to electronics. Vargas agricultural revolution, a Contanan lifeline. Right. I think it's time to continue and end the stream. Chapter 4, Checkmate. This will be the final chapter that we will be dealing with. Growth is still stable, but we are very much in debt. Women's Liberation Act. Hegel would take all the necessary steps. Fuck it, let's sign it. Our growth has been stunted. Oh well, we're not oppressing the Bloods anymore, but we have a bloodish problem. We have an excellent woman's right. In terms of laws, we have things working okay. And the wealth situation, gender equality in education. All of this green is wonderful. End of the day, at home, residence of President Soland wholesome. And let's end with, okay, you know what? Actually, yeah, let's end the stream on this one. It was raining. A surge dropped me off at home after yet another grueling day of work. A guard held an umbrella over my head as I walked from the car to my front door. Inside the house was completely dark. I flipped on the light in the kitchen to find a note from Monica. Ciara had called her in the inn for a last-minute women's rights meeting. She dropped Dina off at a friend's and left me some food for reheating. I took the pot out of the fridge. It was filled with an unidentifiable grayish-looking stew. Evidently, Monica's excellent cooking had been the first casualty of her political career. I sighed and put the pot in the stove. While it was heating up, I went on to the living room to fix myself a drink. Suddenly the phone rang. I went back to the kitchen and answered it. Frank's voice was on the other end. Oh, I thought Mom would pick up. Sorry you're stuck with your old man. I didn't mean it that way. I just figured you'd be working. There was a long silence. I got that record you sent me. Not bad for old folks music. Glad you liked it. How's Uncle Peter doing? Surprisingly well. He's actually being seeing a therapist. He might even quit alcohol. Wow. Just see a big fly? You know, the Met is worried about things escalating with Hamburg since you threw Olivia in jail. They're moving more and more troops near Mogware. I'll see what I can do to evade tensions. The last thing I want is my son going into battle. So you do care about me now that I'm out of the house. I always did. I'm graduating from basic training soon. The commander says I could be the next Joseph Lancia. Sorry you can't, you've got too much hair. Frank stifled a laugh. Honestly, I was so ticked off at you for sending me here, but I'm really starting to like it. Thank God for failure, right? We were never a failure. Suddenly became aware of a smoky smell coming from the kitchen. My dinner was burning. I have to go. Try calling your mother tomorrow. Yeah, okay. Bye, Dad. Both hung up. We rested the stove and turned off the burner. The bottom of the pot was charred, but a part of the mystery stew was still salvageable. I ate alone by the flickering lights of the television, wondering when Monica and Dina would get home. Fuck. Fuck. So we got the Bergia major economic zone. We got a fucking debt crisis. We got trade tariffs imposed, a debt crisis, tourism industry heavily in decline. We are fucked. And the all one other situation, anti-corruption raids. Oh, all right, that's good. Um, yeah, yeah, the economy has taken a hit. This is the information, capital growth, sun agricultural. Right. The Sun Agricultural Zone has opened to the public. Long lines of farmers are waiting in line to apply for the new cooperation opportunities. The opening is expected to increase the agricultural output by Sana by 40%. As per the reports, agricultural workers from nearby cities are also migrating, creating an influx of jobs and investments. Excuse me. High investment synergy achieved. Investments across multiple sectors are demonstrating high levels of synergy, leading to impressive economic growth. The well coordinated infusion of capital into sectors in different ways has resulted in significant advancement and a boost in productivity. This efficient allocation of resources is driving economic success and setting a strong foundation for future prosperity. Well, you say that, but look at my fucking brother, my fucking dad. Police overwhelmed in remote cities. Since the deployment of the police forces to combat the unrest, many attacks have occurred in remote cities. Ambushes and rampant and security forces are being pushed back. The police stations and patrols were the main targets of the militants. Unless reinforcements are provided, the current forces are not enough to control the situation. What the fuck is going on? That crisis shocks the economy. The central bank and the Ministry of Economy are tackling the extensive damages caused by the debt crisis and the subsequent credit rating downgrade of Sorland. Both entities are resorting to all sorts of currency and economic control measures to stabilize the volatility triggered by the events. Fair Trade Commission creates trade regulation. The Fair Trade Commission has begun work in asserting the existing trade irregularities and fairness. The first act of the Commission will be to create new trade regulations to balance import and export differences to ensure local competitions can remain strong. Trade tariffs disrupt port and marine commerce. Recent trade tariffs have adversely impacted ship commerce and overall marine trade in Lakavin. The increased costs of importing and exporting goods have resulted in fewer shipments passing through the city's port, causing a significant slowdown in trade activities. The economic ripple effects of this disruption are being felt by businesses throughout the city. Instability severely affects tourism industry. The tourism industry in Lakavin has been dealt a heavy blow due to increasing Regional instability. Visits to the city have sharply declined as tourists opt for safer destinations. The downturn in tourist numbers have led to considerable losses for local businesses and threatens the city's standing as a major tourist hub in Sorna. Varela marks a first South Mikopa nation candidacy. Announcement. Alright, whatever. Equals Insights, ATO and CSP threaten social independence, election campaign ramps up across Solent, social debt causes credit downgrade, Solent's credit rating downgraded and urgent call for economic reforms, Vice President recovering from alcoholism, grand opening of Sun agricultural zone, Solent's debt crash sends shockwaves across international markets. Let's read this. In the recent debt crash in Solent has caused great concern among international financial experts as the economic turmoil threatens to impact global markets. Rapid escalation of Solon's national debt, combined with the government's inability to tackle the crisis, has resulted in a loss of investor confidence and a sharp decline in foreign investments. World renowned credit rating agencies have downgraded Solon's credit rating, citing an unsustainable debt spiral and a bleak outlook from the nation's economic recovery. In response to the situation, the MFI has expressed its willingness to intervene and provide financial assistance to Solon, but only if the government implements stringent austerity measures and enact much needed economic reforms. This has sparked a heated debate among Solish politicians, as many argue that the proposed measures could further exacerbate the already dire economic conditions faced by the general population. As Solon grapples with its debt crisis, the international community watches anxiously, with experts predicting that the nation's economic collapse could trigger a domino effect, stabilizing regional and potentially global markets. The Swedish government's actions in the coming weeks will be critical not only for the country's economic future but also for the stability of the world economy. You know what? Fuck the world economy. A human dignity bill. The Human Dignity Bill is set before the Assembly to address the unintended consequences of the 1923 Legal Transactions Act. Section 1 only revisits the amends Section 3 of the aforementioned Act, which previously allowed transactions involving non-registered businesses or other entities, including individuals, to be legalized, provided that accurate documentation was submitted to the financial authority. The HDB bill specifically revokes the legality of such transactions if they involve activities that infringe upon public morality. Section 2 directly addresses the inadvertently loophole created by the which resulted in the unregulated existence of prostitution. This section of the HDB explicitly categorizes prostitution as an illegal activity, irrespective of whether it occurs within a registered or non-registered entity, thereby fortifying our commitment to uphold common decency and moral principles. Section 3 stipulates that the penalties for violations of the provisions in the preceding sections deems prostitution an illegal offense, subject to punitive measures as outlined by law. These measures can range from fines to imprisonment or both, depending on the severity and frequency of the violations. Fuck it, let's sign it. We are still God fearing people. Thought human dignity would be something else. National values are so slow, alright. Children for Future Act. In the continuation of the efforts to promote social progress and upliftment, the Parliament introduces the Children for Future Act. This act focuses on providing a tangible support to families in need, with particular attention to the welfare of children. Section 1 of the CFA outlines a direct financial support mechanism for families not falling within the medium or high income brackets. The state will issue a fixed payment for every child in these families, offering much needed financial relief to ensure that the welfare of the child is not compromised with economic circumstances. Section 2 of the CFA unlocks additional state support specifically aimed at the children of unemployed families, plus financial for each child's education and any special healthcare needs that may arise. This proactive approach aims to create a safety net for the most vulnerable, ensuring that every child, regardless of their family's employment status, has access to education. Fuck it, I'm gonna sign it. I mean, the fucking economy collapsed. At least let's give the people something to live with. The social debt debacle. The mounting government budget deficit and unsustainable borrowing have led to concerns among investors and analysts about the nation's ability to service its debt. So now faces a serious debt crisis. This lack of confidence has resulted in increased borrowing costs, a reduction in foreign investments, and the risk of a potential default, which could have far-reaching consequences on the social economy. Debts can be paid. Children are the future. Okay. All right. I think this sets up the next step clearly. The economy is tanking. Our debt is huge. We are in a crisis, but we can try to mitigate it. And we are now in the final act. We are aiming for re-election. And honestly, I was not corrupt the entire game because that television scene, that me watching television, should have included me, dealing, my dirty laundry airing and my cabinet resigning en masse. Last time, the only corruption act that I did was that I used my connection to put my son in university. But sending him to the army was a better idea. That being said, that being said, I think we have reached the end of our stream for tonight. Almost 4 hours. Not bad. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a wonderful Friday night, and I'll see you all in the next one.